Workshops are life.
Exactly. So I think you're gonna pass the introduction. Like on base have special things to display just before everything.
Oh yeah, do I then present, I guess, to share my screen?
Uh,
Yeah, so just click present and then you can either share your screen or add a file if you want to add a file directly. And then I can add it to the stage. It will show up on my side.
okay. So just we need to wait 2 minutes, something like this. 1 minute, I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Are you jet lagged?
Very hard, yeah.
Oof.
you, you were at New York? Where?
No, I was in San Francisco.
Mm.
Mm.
How
Yeah,
long were you there for?
like 8 days.
Oh, not bad. That's a pretty decent amount of time.
Yeah, but it's that way that like you get there, it's been a few days, then I'm fine, and then it's time to come back to another jet lag. So it's like two jet lags.
That's literally the worst. But
Yeah.
it's worth traveling. The jet lag is worth it.
Yeah, 100%. I just like sleep at weird hours, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did
I'm like
you enjoy your time there? Did you do anything special?
so much. I got to see the city way more than the last time I was there.
Mm.
I had more time to like explore. Usually we have like a very busy on site. As you can imagine, we were kind of doing a hackathon there and everything. The
Oh,
offices really, really busy.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about.
Um, yeah, so it was intense, but it was super cool to be with the team. Like nothing beats like bonding with the team and everything. And just it was really nice weather, you know, like very sunny, and I got to go around the city a little bit more. So it was really nice. Actually, I really like San Francisco.
It's a nice city.
Yeah,
I still prefer New York, but I can't deny SF is can be lovely.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Especially the weather, I think.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. The weather is incredible, and California in general. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
landscape. And
very chill.
yeah,
Everyone is like very chill and like happy and stuff. So it's nice,
and
nice vibe.
the beaches don't get better. I mean, if the water was a little warmer, it would be perfect.
Yeah, that's true.
mm,
Yeah,
That's
and it's
true.
cool
That's
to hear that about all of the offsites that you guys do. It's cool that how many offsites Base does here in New York as well. I try and ask them to use the Coinbase office all the time for events, but they're always doing an offsite, so it's never possible.
so I guess you're based in New York, right?
Yeah, yeah, at the
Nice.
moment. So right now I'm back and forth between New York and Tokyo. We're working with the
in
local
Tokyo?
government in Japan to allocate tax dollars towards local impact. So
Oh, that's
we're
pretty
we've been
cool.
pushing some
I love
on-chain
Tokyo.
mechanisms, yeah, and they're really loving it. So it's been really exciting because the local government has been so like enthusiastic about like using some of these on-chain mechanisms to create more community engagement, etc., within their community. So it's been exciting, but a absolute drag. That like it's like so much fun to work with a local government because like they're really excited, but it takes so much time and effort that it's like
Yeah, I
it doesn't
bet.
even. I mean, it is obviously worth it, but like there are moments where you're like, is this really worth it?
Yeah, it must be hard, right? Like a lot of meetings and
Mm.
talks and stuff.
So much
Not
bureaucracy.
the same pace as Web3.
No, definitely not. Like the complete opposite. But it's really cool to see that they like understand there are real use cases here. So
That's super cool. Super cool to be going to Tokyo. I went once and I love that city. Really
It's
cool.
my favorite city in the world.
Yeah, it
Mm.
I,
is really, really cool city.
I
So
haven't been to
different.
Paris, but I imagine Tokyo is
No,
a
uh, Paris.
No, not even close.
I love it. All right, so it looks like we can get started here. If you guys would both, well, first I'll say welcome home and welcome to base. I'm gonna add a little intro presentation here real quick, just for fun, and then. All right, go follow Tove on Twitter, who made this lovely community-made video for us, our intro video. Welcome Solene and welcome Giselle today to Homebase Workshops. We're very excited to have you both. Like I said, welcome home, welcome to base. If you guys would both like to share a little bit about yourselves, feel free.
Yeah, so as every day, I will repeat myself about me.
Even
So
better.
yeah, I'm leading DevTreePack, so an international community, especially for developers, for women and students coming from Web 2 who want to transitioning in Web 3. And yeah, it's actually what I'm doing is pretty exciting, because we have a lot of people interested to jump in, like to make the step, and we are really onboarding Web 2 developers. So it's really nice for creating a new wave into the ecosystem, actually, because we need that. So yeah. Anyway, today we are welcoming Giselle, so from Spain, and we were working together since a while. And I really like what she's doing, and right now she's working for Thirdweb, so she will introduce herself better than me. Yeah, feel free to do it.
Thank you. Yeah, so excited to be here. I've been watching like some of the previous workshops and they're pretty cool. Everyone is like having really nice things to share, which is the best. But yeah, my name is Giselle, or people call me G, which is a bit easier. I'm working with Thirdweb now for almost a year, and I work with the success engineering team. So mainly like a solutions team. We provide like solutions to everything to do with like consumer apps, gaming, DeFi, bunch of different things that people are building with Thirdweb. And I'm very excited to be here to show you a little bit of our tools, basically.
Super excited to have you today. Really, really glad.
Cool.
And
So,
thank
oh
you,
yeah,
Celine,
go ahead.
I was gonna say thank you, Celine, for having Giselle on today and hosting these workshops this week.
It's a great thing to, because Thirdweb is working a lot with Base too, so it's a great thing to be able to showcase a few toolkits that is matching a lot with Base that built on top of it.
Great, Giselle, I'm gonna add your screen to the stage, and I'll let you guys get started. I'm gonna turn off my screen just so people can focus on you guys and the presentation. But I'll be here the whole time, so if you guys need anything, just let me know.
Awesome. So I will only be seeing the presentation. So if something is weird, just let me know.
Okay.
I don't have two screens right now.
If
But
your seed phrase shows up, we'll let you know.
yeah, basically. So yeah, I'll give a little bit of an overview of what I'm going to be talking about. So basically, Thirdweb tools are like a really huge range of products, right? So I want to show everyone like a few different products that we use to like basically get people on chain. I know we're focusing a little bit of on chain gaming, so I'll be sharing with you guys some of the things that we have to make it easy for all the builders that want to build like on-chain gaming. We actually work with a lot of like cool gaming projects. So I'll be showing you a little bit of like some of the templates we have, how to run them, a bit of our documentation and everything else to do with that. So I'll basically start with like this presentation, which is a little bit of an overview of what Thirdweb is. Essentially, we're a full stack open source Web3 platform. So what does this mean? Is basically you can go to our repos and like see everything that we do in terms of like code, all the PRs that we put on, and even any builder can actually open a PR if they're seeing like a bug or if they think of something that we should be adding. That's also available in our platform, which is pretty cool and like kind of in line with like the whole Web3 ethos kind of thing. So in our platform, we have like obviously different products, like in terms of like front end, back end, and on-chain capabilities. So we have a bunch of things like wallet connectors, in-app wallets, a contract SDK, which is pretty cool and awesome to be like deploying contracts really easily. We also have like some payments, which I'll be showing. And some of our like really cool features that we have at the moment, for example, that I'll be showing you is like gasless transactions, which is like super cool to do like mass onboarding, especially for Web 2, as we're talking about like transitioning builders from Web 2 to Web 3. And this has been one of the hardest things to do in the last few years in Web 3 is like, when you're coming from Web 2, like you have no idea what a wallet is or what wallet you should be having or how to even get like crypto to pay gas fees and all that. So like we are making basically all of these like way easier, having a few products that like you can connect with your app, games, and everything that you want, and make every transaction gasless. So basically the builder will sponsor that gas, and then users of the app or people that want to play that game or anything, like they don't need to create a wallet, they don't need to pay for gas, they don't need anything, which is pretty cool. So this is Connect is one of like our most used products right now. As you can see, it's like a complete toolkit for connecting basically every user to Web3. So you can see on the photo there that we have a lot of different options for connections. So we have like social options like Google, Telegram, even like Farcaster, Twitter, classic ones like email, Gmail, phone numbers, passkeys for the ones using like Apple products and stuff like that. And then we obviously have wallet connections, which are more traditional to Web3. This product is super cool because like if we're thinking about on-chain gaming, a lot of people have no idea what on-chain gaming is, right? Like you just want to like play a game, or the builder in this case wants to create a game that like everyone can play, right? So you don't need to be explaining to people or putting like kind of like blocks of things like walls, like, oh, how can I create a wallet? How can I buy some crypto to pay the gas? Or like the whole point of our products is just to make it super easy for the builder building the game and for the user using that game, right? So this is definitely one of the things that I'm going to be showing today in more detail. Another one of our Connect products is Universal Bridge, which is super awesome, and it goes really well with gaming. With this, you can bridge, swap, and buy any crypto with credit card, or do like any payment type of things that you need to do. As you can imagine, when like we're playing games on chain, we need to do a lot of transactions. Like many of the games that we see are to do with like rewards, fighting, or whatever the storytelling of the game is. The majority of the time you need to do a bunch of transactions, right, to like be claiming the rewards or like doing prices and stuff. And this is super awesome product and feature that we have, which the same as the one I previously showed. Like you basically can onboard people from Web 2, and they don't even need to understand really crypto. Like they can use credit cards to buy like points or rewards or whatever, depending of the storytelling of the game. Pretty cool feature as well. Then when it comes to on-chain, of course, we need to talk about contracts. So in Thirdweb, you can deploy and interact with all type of contracts. We have cool pre-built audited contracts. As you can see in this image, this is just like an overview of a few of the popular ones, like NFT drops, like marketplaces, token, which is very, very popular right now, account factories. All of this, you can just like go to our platform, create an account, and just hit the button like deploy. I'll be showing a little bit on that later. And this is super cool. You don't need to be writing like your contracts. Like contracts can be complicated. Not every builder is going to dedicate their time to like learn Solidity and like all these things, right? Some builders just want to build games, just want to like, be in tune with the product. And we basically try to make it as easier as possible to do so. So deploying contracts, super important for on-chain gaming. You will need to deploy several contracts for rewards, like anything to do with like a marketplace. If you have different like tools that you need to be selling on your game and everything like that, you can just go ahead and deploy it, select the chain, and then boom, it's there. You don't even have to go and like pay for audits or anything like that.
Yeah, I confirm a really useful feature. Personally, I use it, this one a lot, because you save a lot of time, and in one click, boom, like you
Yeah,
mentioned.
100%. You save a lot of time. I remember I've been in crypto for a while, and I remember before to deploy a contract was a whole big deal. Like you had to install like a bunch of libraries, like one of the most popular is like Hardhat. And it was hard. Like even though you could do it, obviously, like I was saying, if you are focusing on like building game apps and you want to like focus on that, like this is super easy. Also, just to say, we have like we support all EVM chains, but we also support like testnet. So let's say you want to use like base but like testnet, like you can go ahead and deploy a bunch of contracts to just test everything that you're doing before going live into production, which is pretty cool, very useful. Then apart from that, we obviously you can deploy contracts from the dashboard, which is like just like without coding. So you can just like click a few buttons and just deploy the contract, and you can also interact with that. So you can mint, you can claim, you can like airdrop, do all sorts of things with that. But also, if you're a coder and you want to do it on your local machine, we also have a CLI, where you can basically download all our pre-built contracts and then just like manage them on your VS Code or whatever code editor you're using. And just with a few simple commands like Thirdweb deploy, you can like deploy a bunch of contracts to different chains or whatever is needed, which is pretty cool as well for the ones who like doing it more like in code. Pretty fast as well. Then other of our products right now, which is very popular, is Engine. And this one in particular have been used a lot in gaming because as you can see here, like it goes from your front end to back end, and then it works like as the engine of your whole app. Engine is open source as well, so you can like see the whole code, how it's developed and everything. And it's basically like a backend server that reads, writes, and deploys contracts at scale. So this is pretty cool because like, as you can imagine, blockchain can be a little bit slow sometimes because like just the nature of how it is. Obviously, we're getting better. Like Base is a really good example of like how blockchain can get way faster, way cheaper, like much better. But still, you have blocks to confirm everything. Like it could take a while. So Engine is an amazing product in terms of gaming. Really cool tool to integrate to your app. As I was saying, like most games need to do a bunch of interactions, like hundreds of interactions at the same time, especially if you have like, if it goes viral, the game, and you have so many users at the same time, like playing, which is what everyone wants. This would be a really useful tool to experiment with. So as I said, it's like, it does a lot of things in blockchain, like on chain, but at scale. So amazing tool to check out. And then we actually have this new product as well, which is an indexer type of thing. Very simple endpoints for querying rich blockchain data. So this one, you can think of it as like an explorer, but like a bit more powerful than just an explorer. You can query like all sorts of things like balances, tokens, NFTs, wallets, contracts, and it will immediately in seconds give you results, right? So we have an API with this, and it's pretty useful as well for gaming, as you might want to be having like profiles. So like if you have a profile of your user and you want to be showing or querying data in real time, again, blockchain can be sometimes a bit slow, and Insight is making it to be like super fast. So in seconds, you can just like query a bunch of data, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go and show a few of the things that we have. You can see I have like all these tabs, but like it's for a purpose. So the first thing I want to show is like our AI, basically. We have a new AI product that we launched a few months ago. Interestingly, this was a product that we created out of a hackathon last year. in San Francisco as well. And it just got very popular, and we have been like developing that. Engineers have been working really hard to develop this. It was in beta, and now we launch it for everyone. So you can actually go to Thirdweb/Nebula and try it live. And it looks, I have it open here somewhere. Sorry for all my tabs. So I have it here. So you just need to like sign in. You go to the landing page that I just show.
It's kinda like your agent kit from Homebase too, I guess. But this one is like for all EVM chain, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this one reads all the EVM chains that we support, and like all the products that I just show basically are integrated into Nebula, which is pretty cool. You can do like swapping, you can deploy contracts, you can deploy ERC20 tokens just by chatting to Nebula. So it's super cool. So yeah, you can just like easily go to the landing page. Like there's some more information about it here. All the products that we've been working on. Obviously, we have an API as well, which is super cool. Like you can, apart from just using the chat, so apart from just interacting with Nebula on the chat, you can just use our API and create, like connect that to your app, like use it whatever way you want. And there's like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and no, is it free to use?
Yeah, it's free to use. It's completely free to use at the moment, so go and take advantage of it. You can create like agents, bots, like a bunch of things, which is super cool. And yeah, I just have an example here. Like basically you choose the chain. So in this case, of course, we're talking about Base, which is honestly one of the best chains to build on, like super fast, super cheap, really great community. I love it. All the contracts that every time I'm like testing stuff, like building things for my work, I constantly use Base. Honestly, it's just the best. So yeah, in here, like I just asked like what can Nebula do using Base chain, and like it will give me like a bunch of things that it can do. So like it can deploy contracts, as I was saying, it can swap tokens, retrieve like different like live information and everything. It's pretty cool. I recommend that you just like go and sign in and basically experiment with that. Obviously, as the nature of AI at the moment, there can be some errors, of course. We're actually in alpha, we're calling it. We were in beta, now we're in alpha, and we're still improving like this every single day. The more we use it, the more it improves. So it's pretty cool. I recommend it. Really, really cool way of doing things. Very easy as well for the ones who are not coders that can easily go and deploy a contract just by chatting with Nebula.
Do you have any example of application, especially in gaming, who are using Nebula actually?
Well, in gaming, no, because we just released Nebula and the API like literally like 2 weeks ago. So people weren't able to use it yet. It was just like in beta, and we were just like getting some like a few group of people to test it while we were like developing this. So at the moment, I don't have like an exact example that I could say like this game is using this. I presume it's going to be pretty soon that we're going to start seeing like some games using it. I do have a pretty cool template that one of our engineers made, which it's a game that uses Nebula. But it's just like a repo example that can be used. It's one of the things I wanted to share. It's called Nebula Shopkeeper Scene. And basically you can see the whole repo here. It's pretty cool. I will say like this could be one of the homeworks. So you basically can run this. I won't run it right now because it takes some time, like it's heavy. It uses like Tree.js for the look and feel of the game. And it's super cool. One of the things I recommend is like you go and deploy some of the contracts in the dashboard, like using Base, and then you can connect those contracts with this game. All the instructions are here. It should be pretty kind of like easy to set up. and all the dependencies. You will need some APIs key and everything to use it, but I would say it's like very worth it. And this could be a really good example of how to, do some on-chain gaming with Nebula. As you can see here, one of the things is like claiming the gold tokens, ERC tokens. So you can go and basically deploy this contract, whether it's like using Nebula, as I show, like the chat, or you can just go and deploy the contract on the dashboard. And it's super cool, super cool. I recommend it. I'll be sharing all these resources later on as well, so you guys can try it on. But other few games that we do have, which are pretty cool, we do have some different like SDKs, and some of the SDKs that we have for gaming, like real gaming, it's like Unreal Engine SDK, which is super cool. We have this cool example as well of using it. There's few instructions here how to use it if you're into Unreal, which is like, a bit more complex, but worth it trying. And this is the game. You can see kind of like the video here, the intro.
Original.
It's super cute. It's kind of like Mario.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yes,
you see, yeah,
I like the floating, I don't know the term, wallet connection and wallet itself. That's nice.
yeah, exactly. So basically, in this game, that by the way, you can just like go ahead and clone the repo as well. Oh, sorry, I think I clicked the wrong thing. What was that? I lost it. Oh yeah, here. So the repo is here. Take flight. You can go ahead and clone this. Pretty cool. If you want to experiment with that, it's really cool. Seeing you have to download it and then play it. Oh wait, I think this is a different one that I'm showing. Anyway, but the repo is there. And the cool thing about this one, like, first of all, the design is super cute. It's completely on-chain game that like you connect your wallet, interact with everything that you're doing, you earn rewards, and like as you go, all of these transactions are happening on-chain. So we have like an invisible wallet, meaning like kind of what I showed before, like users can just like go and play without thinking on like, oh, I need to download a wallet, or what even is a wallet. So like invisible wallet, meaning you can just log in with your email or Twitter or whatever other social profile you have. Also integrates with gasless transaction, which is kind of what I was explaining briefly before. Users won't need to pay for any gas, which is great. And I feel like it's essential for gaming at this point, because like you don't want people having to like buy crypto to pay for gas to then play your game. So you want people to play your game straight away, like without putting any barriers. And I feel like that's super cool. And then gaming contracts, of course. We have a page, which is this one, just at Thirdweb Explore Gaming, and you will see all our popular gaming contracts that you can deploy. So let's say you need to deploy a token. So you just go, name your token, cool gaming, do all of this, right? Fill up the form, image, symbol, everything that you want, fees, trusted forwarders, anything. And then, of course, we'll use Base. And one of the things I mentioned before, like you could do it in Base testnet. So let's say you're building your game, you still don't know how it's going to work. So like, of course, you can just deploy that on testnet and it would be free. And then you can experiment with that. And once you're 100% sure that everything is good, you can go ahead and deploy on Base mainnet. And that's it. Super simple.
Actually, it's with the base paymaster. You can.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. I was sharing last time a game like I like it. If you can go to our chat on StreamYard. probably we can take a
Oh,
look at
this-
it. Yeah, it's more advanced, like if you are a Unity developers, but if you like gaming, so Nebula is including into it. It's pretty funny.
yeah.
You can show probably
Yeah, this one
because
is
you can
super cool. I think, I don't know if we have a repo. Like we might, I'm not 100% sure, but definitely the capabilities are there if you are a dev and you want to experiment with .NET and Unity. Like I really encourage you to do it. Like it's super fun and super easy to install because like that's the whole point. We're trying to make it easy for developers. But yeah, this video I absolutely love. So it's like this scene of the game, which you can see like they're playing, they're earning like certain tokens and rewards. Like every time they win something or they go to the shop and they're trying to buy like in there, like they're trying to buy gold and everything. It's super cool. And this one definitely is using Nebula and Unity. So cool to experiment and go there and watch it. Actually, one of the things I wanted to show is like our documentation, which is very important for every developer to read documentation. I know it can be boring, but like it's definitely the best. As you can see, we have like live demos, we have a bunch of different products, including like the ones that I mentioned, like Nebula, Connect, contracts, and all that. Um, and for gaming specifically, we have .NET, which is super cool to use, very easy to use. I was surprised because I wasn't like a huge gamer developer, but like working at Thirdweb, I've been like experimenting, and it's not so bad and intimidating as people might think. And then we also have like Unreal Engine and Unity. So if you go into this, it will give you instructions, and almost everything has a repo, which is pretty cool. Almost everything that we do or everything that we do is open source. So for example, the .NET SDK, you can just go ahead, clone it, experiment with installation and everything. And we have a bunch of examples here that you can read, like how to do transactions, um, stuff like that. Also for Unity, which is kind of the same. Unity is a little bit more advanced, I would say, because you have to kind of like do a few different things. But still, if people are like really wanting to experiment, I would definitely say like go ahead and do it. We have a few examples here, some of the ones that I show, but this one is a super cool to show. Of like on-chain gaming.
I saw something like the Telegram in your app. And did you do something recently about Farcaster? I think so.
We did, yeah. We're doing a bunch of things with Farcaster mini apps. I did put up a guide of how to install Thirdweb and Farcaster to deploy a mini app, which is pretty cool.
Mm.
And I don't think we have any games at the moment, but I know we're building a few things. So yeah, I feel like this one is a super cool example of like what can you do in terms of gaming. This is like a fighting game, which is very fun, and you can go ahead and like play with it. Kind of the same structure as always, right? Like I feel like on chain gaming, it's all about like how can we be seamless, like how can we onboard people without having to explain a bunch of things about Web3, right? So like you want to onboard people super easily. You want people to log in with email to whatever social profile they have. You also want to integrate things like gasless. The same principle, right? Like I feel like gasless is right now really amazing if you want people to be using your game.
Mandatory.
Yeah, exactly. And and then in this case, this one is using Unity SDK. So anyone who wants to like experiment with that, I really encourage that. We have this basically landing page where you can like have all the information that I'm showing you. Okay. So yeah, I showed this game, which is super cool. Oh, we have a question.
In the chat, I don't know. But on my side, I have more a question about. I know you have like an accelerator program or something like this, startup program inside the Thirdweb, if I remember. If you can share
Yeah,
more about it.
definitely. So let me just go to the homepage. We have a few programs that we've been running, but one of the most interesting ones is the startup program and super chain grant, which is very related to Base, actually, because we use Base Paymaster. So anyone who's looking to build an app, of course, like a gaming app or any type of app, I would say like go and apply for this, and you can claim some of the credits, basically using Base and all the super chain blockchains. It's very easy to apply. You just like fill up the form and like probably wait for a few days for our team to reply. But I feel like it's very, very cool, especially for this group of people who are trying to build stuff. Like you don't want to be spending so much money, but you do want to experiment. We give the opportunity to do that. So you basically claim your credits, and in your dashboard you will see them, and you can use them for gas fee, right? So for like deploying contracts or anything to do with like doing gasless transactions as well, you can sponsor gas. It's really, really cool program. So that's one that I recommend, especially for base builders.
Great.
Yeah, and the other one that we have at the moment, which is pretty cool, is a startup program. This one is, oh, I went to another thing. This one is more for projects that already are developed, let's say. So like kind of like startup vibe projects that you already know what you're doing. You probably already have an MVP. Possibly you already have users, like you're trying to scale, like you have users, you have been testing everything, and you're now at the stage that you're trying to monetize your app, you're trying to scale and accelerate everything. We have this awesome program. Actually, we started a new cohort this week. So anyone who's interested in that can kind of watch the sessions and stuff that we're having. I think we'll be publishing them on Twitter. So we do it by cohort. So each month we have a different cohort. So we give opportunity to different projects to join. Very easy to do as well. You just go here and apply, fill up the form, and then we'll be in contact. And if we're not, please DM me and I will make sure that we're in contact for that. So another thing I wanted to show, actually, it's our playground, which is pretty cool. And I feel like this is cool if you're kind of like...
I don't know, Luciano, if you wanted to talk.
Sorry, sorry, 1 second. Feel free to send the link in the chat and I'll share it with everyone for the startup program. And then also, I forgot to say earlier, everyone send your base names. If you have an ENS, if you have an ETH address, send your base name in the chat. I'm sorry to interrupt the workshop. It has been going incredible so far. In fact, I'm like super enthusiastic around Web3 Warriors. And if you have a second to play a little bit of it, whether if you already have the mini app up, play it from the mini app, or just play it from the download if you have it installed. If not, no worries. But was super curious about that. And also curious how much of that game is on chain. And then I'll let you get back to it.
Yeah, awesome. I can't really find it anymore. I have so many apps. Where is it?
That's the only one problem with having too many tabs open.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Mine doesn't look much better at the moment, so I can't hate.
Yeah, I can't find it. But it's there.
Yeah, send those base names. I love it, people. Keep sending those base names.
Nice. Oh yeah, it's here. I don't have it right now here to show it, but
no worries.
Here's where can I share the links in StreamYard or somewhere else?
On the right there's a box that says comments. Unfortunately, it doesn't let you post directly to the you have to go to the actual Twitter stream, the Twitter live to post directly. So
I'll post it here and maybe you can post it.
Perfect. Yeah, I post the private
to not bore people. But yeah, basically like if you go there and download it for Mac or Windows, give it a go and please let us know what you think.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. I think it's one of the coolest kind of like demos and things that we have. Pretty cool, yeah. So just, I think I'm kind of like almost done, and we can like obviously do all the questions. But just the last thing I wanted to show, it's our playground. It's just playground at Thirdweb. I'll share this as well so we can share it with everyone. So our playground is pretty cool. This is a playground where you can test everything that I've been talking about. Probably I've been going super fast, but I just feel like the time goes by very fast. But yeah, all the products that I've been talking about, like Connect, Engine, all type of Connect, like account abstraction, gasless transactions, universal bridge, like everything, we have it here. And you can just go in there and test everything live. So like you can go and log in with your wallet. Let me try and log in. I think my favorite way of logging in is definitely email. I'm gonna have to open my email here just quickly. And you'll receive like a code. And then, oh God. Yeah, here. Log in, and boom, you're logged in, right? Then you have like this profile, and you can do a bunch of things. You can manage your wallet, view your assets, send, receive, like a bunch of things. In here, the cool thing about this is that you can just test this feature, and you can also see the code that you need to put in your app. So here's the code. Once you install our SDK in your project or in your app, you can just grab this code and copy and paste it in your app, and it will work perfectly. As you can see here, like we're using in-app wallet, which is like everything to do with like social logins. So like, Telegram, Farcaster, Google, all to do with that. And then we have in these lines here, we have the actual wallets that we're recommending to use, which is like Metabase, Coinbase, Rainbow, pretty, common use wallets. And then the main magic here happens in the connect button. So in the connect button, you have like the client, which I'll show quickly about this, which is something that's very important to use Thirdweb. We have the wallet, which is these ones that I show. And then a connect model, which you can change from like white to compact and all that. So in a few lines of code, you can just have this amazing pre-built function. And then in here on the left panel, you can kind of see all those functionalities and kind of like play around with them. So if you just like, oh, I don't want to have all these things, it's like too much, you can just like, okay, I just want to have like Google and a Connect wallet, and that's all I want to have. Or maybe I don't even want to have anything to do with social profile. I just want to have wallets. You can also do that. You can select the wallets that you're recommending. Pretty cool. You also can like sort of like customize this a little bit with some colors and that. And then a cool feature would be adding let me just add this again, adding the sponsor gas that I've been talking about, which I think is really cool for on-chain gaming, definitely. And all that does, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I wanted to say during hackathon, usually we are using private or dynamic, and so right now I'm discovering this solution.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool. So yeah, all it is like adding these like few lines of code where you basically say the chain. So in this case, for base builders, like you just like put base in there, and then set sponsor gas to true, and then boom, like people don't have to pay with for gas. It would all be in the paymaster depending of the chain that you're using. And you can either like sponsor that yourself as a builder, or you can go and sign into our like super chain grant program, and like you can get sponsor gas fees for this type of thing. So it's pretty cool. And as I said, like obviously I'm not going to be showing like every single one, but we have a bunch of things that you can do. So I encourage everyone to like just go ahead and experiment with these. We also have like a few headless UI. So like, let's say our pre-built is not very in line with your brand and you want to change it, you can also just use our components like headless and like add your brand to it, which is pretty cool as well. So you can experiment with that. Another cool one, which is very useful for gaming, it's the universal bridge. And basically in here, you can just like connect your wallet and buy crypto if you need to. You can also buy crypto with credit card, which is pretty cool, for anything to do with like transactions, gaming rewards, and all to do with that. And then this is inside the indexer I was talking about as well, which is very, very useful as well. We have an API. I think for on-chain gaming, it would be game changer. In here, I just put a contract address from the Bread ERC20, like the very famous base meme coin. And basically, like I index that, and then I have all the data from that contract, meaning like who is the owner of this coin, this meme coin, and like who is the owner, what's the amount, like all those things. And you can just select here like the chain. You can select like base mainnet or Sepolia, and do a bunch of things. Like you have like index like NFTs by owner, you can index wallets, you can do like all sorts of things. So I encourage everyone as well to like go and use the playground, which is, I feel like, the first place where you should go and like kind of like test everything. And then once you're like, oh, I like this, then you can go ahead and go to like our documentation and just follow a few steps of like how to install things, depending on what you're looking for. So as I said, like if it's pure gaming or if you're very into gaming, I would say go ahead and experiment with like .NET, Unity, or Unreal. It would be pretty amazing.
It's nice to have like a playground, because it's not the case of each documentation, each protocol, foundation, etc. So yeah, pretty cool to have this kind of thing. I can mention only a few documentations that are doing that. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. Even for myself that I work there, like I use the playground all the time. When people are asking me questions, I'm like, okay, wait, I need to see this. And I go to a playground and see like the things live.
Yeah,
So
it's important to
yeah,
have something visual. I mean,
exactly, to have something visual, because sometimes like, okay, you can read the documentation, but then you don't really know how things work or how it's going to be. So like this kind of like speed things up, right? So it's like, oh, I tested this is exactly the product I want to use, and then you go and install it on your app. So it's more or less that. But with that, I feel like I show you everything so far. So I think we can just like go and do a few questions or discuss anything that you want to see. But yeah.
Actually, let me check comment here. Yes, people say it's amazing as playground. Probably, what is the next things for you with Thirdweb, like in terms of I don't know, hackathon, stuff like this, because we really want to act around that.
Yeah. So in terms of hackathons, I can't think of a hackathon that we're going to be part of. But like honestly, I feel like, as always in Web3, there's so much going on that sometimes I miss things. But yeah, I don't think we're going to be part of any hackathons that I can think of right now. So sorry, I don't really know. Hopefully we are.
We have the base batches coming up. Base is going to be doing a big build-a-thon over the next month or so, and a lot of people are probably going to be using Thirdweb in their builds. I won't doubt it. So I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of questions over the next month or so from new builders.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, actually, we have a Telegram. We actually have a Telegram, like a community Telegram that.
Oh, Yeah, feel free to send me anything.
I'm
that you'd like me to
gonna send you the link, but that's a pretty good place if people are like using Thirdweb in a
Perfect.
hackathon. That feel free to like basically join the Telegram, ask any questions, and I'm in there, so you can tag me. Um, I think my username is like G, but it would be pretty easy to find me. And yeah, if people are using Thirdweb for hackathons, definitely like ask questions, let us know like if you're trying to like build something specifically that we can help you to build that.
Yeah, you are working closely with Base anyway. Sometimes I saw different programs and like Thirdweb Base. That's nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, you can see we try to work with the super chain um, chains. And I mean, they're kind of the best right now, right? Like all the best communities are there. As I said, Base is definitely the strongest that I've seen. Strong community, and also just so fast to use, like so fast, easy to get testnet and everything that you need, um, which is cool. Some others might be a bit more complicated, but definitely Base, it's the one that like any people that's starting, like any new builders, and as we were kind of saying, like we're trying to transition a lot of Web2 builders into Web3, and we need this type of community. We need to be
Yeah.
helping people, encouraging people. Well, actually, I met Solene in a few hackathons, right? Like we met a few years ago already, and we were
Yeah.
babies back then.
Yeah.
Baby Web3 developers.
Those were
Yeah.
the days.
Yeah.
Everything was much simpler back then. We just cared about our, cryptographic ideals, and that was that.
Yeah, exactly. Everything was just talking about like NFTs and stuff. I feel like everything have evolved so much, and
Yeah.
like everyone just have like amazing ideas to build different apps, games, like a bunch of things. But yeah, back then we met in a few hackathons, and one of them I was a judge, and you won, Solene. You won
Yeah.
like first place, and I was like,
Oh
wow,
shit!
yeah,
I love
Yeah,
that. I love.
I remember. It was in Barcelona.
yeah. I was in
Yeah.
Barcelona. It was wild. Those days I didn't sleep at all, but it was really fun.
Yeah, it was
With
nice.
Manu.
Yeah, with Manu. Yeah,
Incredible! That's so much fun.
Ah, you know him. Okay, nice.
Yes. Who doesn't?
yeah. He's very popular.
Yeah. By the
That's the
way,
best part about this space is it's a very tight knit community.
yeah.
That's true.
Do you have any wish list about gaming projects that you want to see built on Thirdweb using Base or anything internally? I don't know.
So not internally, but I think like the few examples that I show, like the Web3 Warriors and stuff like that, they're pretty fun games. I know gaming can be a bit complicated and intimidating because like obviously you have to do like graphics and like you have to know about like 3D design and stuff. So like it can be challenging. Um, but I feel like my ideal, like the things that I want to see, it's like kind of what I've been mentioning in the whole workshop is like, I want to see a Web3 game or like an on chain game that it's very seamless. That is like, I can tell my sister that has no idea about crypto, hey, like, look at this game, it's fun, like, play it. And, she doesn't have, I don't need to explain to her anything. She just like goes and like play. I feel like we need more of that because sometimes in Web3, like we can get very passionate and people like us that have been in the space for a while, we're like, yeah, like all these things, like account abstraction and everything. And everyone is like, what are you talking about? Um, I feel like we need more apps and more games that are just like, go and click here and like, you don't need to know anything. Just like go and play, have fun. And that's basically what I want to see more,
Mm.
like gasless transactions, things that are like seamless. You don't need to create a wallet like smart wallets, like you just log in with your email and we create a wallet for you. I would say in hackathons, if I was judging, that's what I would like put
Yeah.
more points on.
And another point is about also onboarding gaming developers. Like I know on your side you are working a lot with gaming developers, and probably how you source them, how you find them, especially.
Yeah, so I feel like actually for gaming it's not that hard because there's a lot of gaming communities out there, and usually gamers are like, they have huge communities. I feel like in Discord and everything. Um, how you find them? Just go like basically search for like Web3 gaming communities. I'm not sure if Base have like specific ones, but I know some other chains like do. So yeah, and follow some like cool games. Like I'm gonna share actually one that we work with that is pretty cool. It's called Infinigods. Very famous game, very consumer viral app game, a perfect example to be building something like that. So I share the link there. um yeah, B3 Dolphin, that's a cool one. Actually, we did a workshop recently with them using
Oh,
Nebula, and like we kind of explain a bunch of things. That's definitely a huge community. I would say join that because that one is pretty new, but at the same time very strong and very focused on gaming. So that's a cool community to join.
and it's a layer 3 on base. That's interesting. It's the home of all gaming builder, I guess, something like
Yeah,
this on base. Yeah. So if you want to build something on base, don't hesitate to take a look also to B3, um, if you are looking for something. Yeah.
yeah, B3 definitely the gaming community for base right now. And they're very active. They do workshops all the time, they do things all the time, they're constantly launching things, building things. It's a pretty cool community for on-chain gaming.
Yeah, agree with that. Nice. All right. Um, I think we made like a great overview of everything. Like you mentioned, it was nice to see everything, to see all the tools that we can use, and also in an easy way, because every time when we have like a workshop with other type of projects, is not for onboarding Web2 developers. Is clearly
Yeah.
for onboarding Web3 developers who are already advanced on this file, and it's pretty too much. We need
Yeah.
really to train this new wave, like I mentioned, and so that's why I wanted to have someone from Thirdweb too into this week to onboard more Web2 developer itself.
Yeah, no, that it's awesome. Like when we were talking, Solene, like before, like, oh, what kind of workshop we can do? Obviously, like we can like vibe code or like go and like deeply go into code, but like yeah, if you're a Web2 developer, you're gonna be like, what is this? So I think this is like a cool, like we kind of say a toolkit. Like this is like a bunch of things that you can go and think about, like, okay, what project do I want to build? And then go to the playground, test a few different things, like depending of what the storytelling of the game is. There can be a few different tools that they can use. And I think like in terms of like the SDKs and all the repos that we have, it does go in line a little bit with Web2. Like you just like classic, you clone the repo, you put it on your VS Code, run the repo. Like nothing is too crazy. I would assure you that nothing is too crazy. And then like as I show, we have a bunch of examples. So like go to our GitHub and see all the templates, download them, clone them, use them, try things, go and deploy contracts in Base, and testing. So like I think it's going to be cool, and I can't wait to see people building with Thirdweb and Base and see what people come up with. And yeah, again, like I want to be open, so everyone just go to Telegram if you need help. Just like message me. I will try to help everyone as much as possible, definitely.
Uh,
um,
oh no, go ahead.
yeah, just that. And on Twitter as well, if you want to follow me on Twitter and like DM me, like, oh, I want to build this, how do I do it, I don't know where to start, because it can be intimidating, right? Like especially with gaming. So if you have questions or anything, like feel free to reach out. reach out to Solene and she will reach out to me or to Luciano. So yeah.
You're really welcome to help everyone. That's super cool. Yeah, I wanted to know if you have a repo where Thirdweb is also connected to on-chain kit with Base. I think so. I think so. I
Maybe.
saw it
You saw
last
it?
time. Yeah.
I have to look for it. I don't have it like open here, but we might have. And if not, I should build it immediately because like we need it.
Like to add components from Base, different thing. I think so because I remember using it or using something else. But yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna look for it. But if we don't, definitely I would be. Oh yeah, I think we do. Wait. I don't know. We have so many things. I'll share this, which is from the base docs.
That should be a lot of work to every time update everything sometime.
Yeah, this is from the base docs, but I think this is more to do with like how to deploy contracts and stuff.
Yeah.
But in there, actually, we have a few examples of like using Thirdweb with base specifically. But this is actually a really good thing that you brought up because now I'm gonna keep this in mind. And if we do not have that you're mentioning, I'll make sure we build that.
Amazing.
Well, absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. That was absolutely an amazing session, and just I would love to have you back sometime. Somebody's also asking for your Twitter in the comments. If you want to send your Twitter in the chat real quick, I'll send it for everyone to follow you.
Just send it.
Seems you've garnered some respect from the base community.
Awesome. What I
I'm
want
sure
to
you
hear.
already had it.
Yeah, I'm sharing my Twitter here, so I'm super open. Solene knows, so
Amazing.
just DM me. I'm always very responsive.
You heard her. Go DM her right now. I hope you have questions.
I confirm.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next session for today. But once again, thank you both so much for being here. Thank you so much for the workshops this week, Solene. And thank you again, Giselle, for today.
Thank you so much. So
yeah, thanks a lot for that.
Of course.
Nice.
Can't wait to do it again.
Take care. And bye-bye. Tschüss.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right, now I'm going to be adding Kenny to the stage. I'm not sure if Kenny is here. He is. He's ready to go. I apologize for being a couple minutes late, but now we're ready to go.
Yeah, no worries at all. That was a fun session to listen in on.
Super glad you got to hear some of that. Yeah, it's super cool what Giselle's working on, what Thirdweb has been doing, and just on-chain gaming in general. I'm really excited. She talked a little bit about the app chain, like Base as an app chain as well, and some of the like app chain grants that Optimism has and Thirdweb has, and a few other places as well. So if you're an app builder, like now is the time.
Interesting. I need to be better about that, right? Because I've been building this app for a while. I just don't know.
I was
it can
just
be
about
intimidating. Like I'm just not good at that. Like the grant space and navigating it, and like there's so many opportunities.
I'm pretty big in the public goods and grant space, and I didn't even know Optimism had like grant apps or apps for grants specifically. And I definitely didn't know Thirdweb had like this like startup program for apps as well that sort of already have users or already have an MVP.
Dang. Okay. Well, so I need to do my research. I just depend on like whatever I see when I'm scrolling Farcaster, and hopefully something comes up I can look for.
That's a big problem. That's one of the reasons we sort of like started Homebase actually, is just to start aggregating all of these resources for builders, because like there's a shitload out there, but none of it is, coordinated at all. None of it is centralized. So we need to start centralizing some of the information that the decentralized community is producing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I remember seeing y'all did like a house at ETH Denver too, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of posts about that on Twitter and Farcaster.
Yeah, that's actually how we incepted. So I don't know if you know like Samuel Huber and Rafi on Farcaster.
Oh yeah. I do.
Yeah, so some of you were literally casted like, hey, is there gonna be a base house at ETH this year? And Jesse was like, nah, but if you get a crew together, like I'll make it happen. So he hit up Rafi and me and we're like, yo, like, I mean, so I run like residencies more or less for a living. I run these hacker and creator houses where we have artists and developers stay in the same residency. And I've been running that in crypto for the last couple of years called Kismet Casa. And so they reach out to me and they're like, yo, like, we know you do this thing. Can you run this house at Denver? And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. So, and then we put together a pitch deck in 24 hours, casted it at Jesse in a frame. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. It's fucking awesome. So, and then Statuette and like some of the bass players were like, yo, like, can you guys please like keep doing this and like do more and just like kind of run it as like, you know, your own decentralized community. And I was like, fuck it. I guess that's what we're doing.
Well done, because I mean, there's a lot of big talk about, you know, decentralized communities and spontaneous organization to do this type of stuff, but not many people walk the walk on it. So props to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, like there was opportunity, so we just had to grab it by the balls and, you know, and just take it on head first. There was no other way to do it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at the end of the day, we're just here, like, you know, having builders on, talking about cool shit and creating value. So hopefully, you know, hopefully it all works out.
Yeah, I love it. I dig it. Well, yeah, excited to chat today. Thanks for inviting me to be on.
Hell yeah. I think this is a really poignant time to be having this conversation. It's like the bear market vibes have seeped in just enough, you know, that people are willing to have like the hard conversations again.
Right. It's an interesting market right now. I mean, it doesn't feel like traditional bear markets. The market is different in general in crypto these days. I feel like everything has accelerated, and even last bear market, it wasn't really a bear market. There was opportunities if you just dug a little bit, right? And so, but yeah, it is an interesting time. Lots of debates happening on the timeline. I love it. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse for me because I love yapping about this stuff. I love like the drama of it all, the storylines, right? But I'm also trying to build something, and maybe I should spend more time building than yapping about stuff. But I don't know. It's too much fun. I dig it.
It is. Yapping's too much fun, and it's also impossible to get distribution without it. So it's like it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, that's true, and I mean that's been I don't have a traditional marketing plan for POIDH. It's literally just like I post about it when I can in the mix of stuff, and it's worked out okay. So I do love that modern technique for marketing in this day and age. Just talk about stuff and talk about your product mixed in there too.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, would you want to showcase a little bit about POID and how it works and what it is?
Yeah, I mean, just for anybody listening, I run this who might not know. I run this app I call it POIDH, but I realize now once you talk with people in person, everybody calls it POID, and it's kind of growing on me.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to be called, but like it looks like POID, so I call it POID, and honestly, it works. So.
Yeah. So POIDH is an old school like internet acronym from the forum days, right? When like images were not as prevalent on the internet, right? So it was like, oh, if you can provide an image, it must be real, right? So like anytime somebody would make an outrageous claim on the internet, somebody would say Pixar didn't happen. So it gets shortened down to that acronym. But yeah, so
I didn't even realize that was the fucking acronym. That's crazy. That's Pixar didn't happen. That's hilarious.
Yeah. And so if you go Google POIDH, we should be the second result now. I'm an SEO by trade, so that was important to me.
You're the number one.
Oh, wow, we're beating out Urban Dictionary now?
Yeah, you're beating Urban Dictionary, and then third is your Twitter. Fourth is your Warpcast. So you definitely do good SEO.
Yeah. I love this that like people that are researching this niche internet term are now going to come across a crypto app.
I literally can't even believe it. So you're gonna have to do that for Homebase next.
Yeah. Just let me. I mean, I am. My full-time thing is actually I'm an SEO consultant. So if anybody's listening, we got SEO questions, hit me up. I love answering stuff and geeking out on SEO things. So you can see, like, I did it for my own website. So I do somewhat know what I'm talking about. You know, it's a fun business. But yeah, so POIDH itself is this app where you can go and put bounties for anybody to do anything. I guess the way I've been describing it lately is you can just incentivize things, right?
Mm.
Which is this meme that's kind of come over the past year, 2 years, right? People are like, you could just do things, right? Just go do stuff, get stuff done in the world, right? And so what POIDH is meant to be is this tool that anybody can come in, they can it's fully on chain, non-custodial, 100% decentralized, 100% open source. All these things are very important to me. That you can go, put some money in and say, I will pay somebody if you do this thing, right? And it's pretty simple. It's just three form fields when you use POIDH, right? You have a title for the task, you have a description for it, and you have how much ETH you are willing to pay, or degen. We are also on degen chain. Shout out the degen project. They've been amazing to us, and the path of POIDH intertwines a lot with degen because I built it in public on Farcaster, right?
Right. That's how I know about it.
Yeah. So you incentivize with either ETH or degen. You deposit those funds, right? So somebody can verify on chain. That gives you a bounty URL. Right. And then once that bounty URL is created, anybody in the world with a crypto wallet can go and they can upload a picture to prove that they did the thing. One thing I will say is a lot of people get hung up on that. They're like, okay, so it's only stuff that can be verified via photos. And it's not. It's more like the picture is the invoice, right, that you get, right? A plumber comes and does work at your house, right? He gives you an invoice. You don't pay him for the invoice, right? You are checking, you are verifying. So these tasks, right, you do have to do some sort of, hopefully you do a good bounty description and you write something clear that you're able to verify. One of the first things I ever did was I incentivized for new basketball nets to get hung up in a park near me. Right. And I put it on POIDH.
Let's go.
Yeah. And so I went to this park. I like playing hoops. I'm not good, but I enjoy it. Hence basketball on my PFP.
I was just about to say it.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, what's a public good? What's something in the community that would improve the community that you can do that's verifiable with a photo?
Mm-hmm.
And so I found a park where the nets were in disrepair. And I went and double checked. All right, they're hanging off. Or I think some of them were missing. Took pictures of that, and then
Did you Google like how much does it usually cost to repair or anything like that?
I did it for $50, right? Because I thought $50. I mean, the nets and stuff. It was like $10 worth of materials, I think. And I just thought, 50 seemed like a good round number that would get somebody off the butt. And I went and put an ad on Craigslist. And a guy found the ad on Craigslist, and he went out and did it. And he reached out to me. He double checked. I had to. At this point, this was an early version of POIDH. It was only on Arbitrum. It was very I mean, you can actually see it if you go to classic.poidh.xyz. Very bare bones, right? Just my MVP of like, make sure this thing actually works. So I had to walk him through using it, but he did it. He went to the park. He uploaded a bunch of photos. He actually made it a day with his family. He posted a video of it on his social. And so, something like that, right? You're not just verifying with the photo. Like I went to the park. I went and I shot on the nets. I saw them, right? And I was able to confirm that and then paid out the bounty. So come full circle here, right? It is an app. It's just a box. You put money into the box. People try to claim that money by offering whatever proof they can with these claim NFTs, right? So they're upload a pic, upload a description and a title for that pic. And then you, as the bounty creator, you hold sole power over paying that out, right? POIDH, again, we're non-custodial.
Right.
It's only the wallet creator. They can hit accept on a claim. And if they hit accept, the money is automatically transferred to the claimant's wallet. And the pic that person uploaded is actually transferred to the bounty creator. So that's a nice little twist, is you're also collecting these proof of work NFTs.
I got it. Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah. So
I mean,
that's the full summary there. Sorry for the rambling.
No, not rambling at all. That's like a really, really clear picture. And so just to get an idea, like in comparison to like Bounty Caster, like the main difference would be not only collecting like the proof, but I guess also the user experience.
Yeah, I think it would be
I mean,
you're collecting the
Poid was also first,
NFTs.
right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but
What was it?
correct me if I'm wrong, but Poid was also first. Like, Poid was before Bounty Caster, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think we released when did it launch? It was 2023, like July, August 2023. But it was so basic then. Like you got like I forced people to auto crop the image to a square, and we didn't even offer the auto cropping on the website. I was like, here, go to this other website. You can crop your image to a square, then you can upload. Right?
Oh, that's great.
It was on Arbitrum, and Farcaster. They were all base focused, right? And they're like, "You gotta get on base. Gotta get on base." So yeah, I mean,
least like all optimism focus at the time.
Yeah. So,
And
yeah, it was optimism focus.
Yeah, and Arbitrum versus Optimism was like the big the big thing at the time.
Man, yeah, the storylines changed so quickly on us.
Crazy.
But yeah, so it was first, but yeah, it's different in the two biggest ways are, you're collecting this image, right? You are and I think part of if Poid succeeds long term, right, it'll be that these are almost like people value co-ops, right? They enjoy that this collection of things that we do.
Yeah,
right?
I like your explanation of like it being like a way to generate incentives rather than it just being like a bounty platform, because like it is like more of like a fun experience rather than just like, oh, post your bounties and hope someone like completes it.
Yeah, I think we have a focus on very silly things too. Like I love posting silly bounties. I'm drinking a beer and it's a unique can where the artwork is intricate, and I will post a photo of like the zoomed in can and put out like a $2 bounty for people to figure out the can, right? And it takes a day or 2 days, and people guess and they have fun with it. Like it's stuff that is not quite as serious. Like I view Bounty Caster as a robust, serious platform for like, we are getting work done here. Whereas PYDH is a little bit more casual. But yeah, you're collecting the image, and then the other big piece is that it is that it's fully on chain, right? You have to deposit funds to create the bounty. Whereas Bounty Caster, it's this honor system, right? Of saying, hey, I will pay you out this money, right?
Yeah, and that's like always the biggest problem with any bounty platform is like, do you actually trust the person who's posting the bounty? And even if like the discrepancy between, do they think what you did is actually what they're looking for? And then of course, like, is it actually a genuinely good product? So it's of course the hardest thing to do for a bounty platform. That's why I think like you're in a much better position to create like a gamified, like fun experience. People just use more.
Yeah,
naturally.
the long term is, I'm a big Redditor. I guess not as much anymore, but I grew up, a lot of my 40 years on the internet was 2010, 2011 on Reddit, like the golden age of that platform. And the long term vision is that PYDH will look something like Reddit for bounties, right? Where you have people, say you wanted to create I'm still working on a name. You can't call it a subreddit, a subpoid. That doesn't really make sense. But you can create your own little channel, right, with only bounties related to your projects, right? A Kismet channel, right? And then you're moderating that, and then people are upvoting and downvoting bounties as they come in. Also collaborating on them, because there is one extra piece here, which is we have PYDH open bounties, which is different than solo bounties. Solo bounties is one person puts up money, another person claims it, the one person confirms, that's it. It's all done, right? But I am a bit of a nerd on the crypto DAO frontier. How do humans organize, right? How do we use this future money in new creative ways to get shit done that isn't possible before, right? And so that's actually me thinking about that stuff goes back to probably like 2020, 2021, and I was trying to think of this, like, how can you have people pool money to get something done, and anybody can put a claim on that money, but the people that put in the money, they get to vote fully on chain. And how do you do that without allowing people to come in and exploit it, right? Because the problem is, if you have fully on chain voting and you have a pot of money, somebody could come deposit twice as much of that pot, and then they have voting rights and they vote to give the pot to themselves. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, it's broken, right? That doesn't really work that great. And it kind of does happen in like many DAOs, just under the radar, right? People find a way to dominate the voting supply and then just vote to give themselves the treasury, right? There's a whole dark side of this industry, which is DAO treasury raiders, right?
Happens far too often. Yeah.
Far too often. Yeah. And there's, a lot of it has to do with, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and it's far worse than like somebody going to like Nouns DAO and like, trying to get something funded that they like can't get funding for somewhere else. Like there's like the people that like, I don't want to say like incompetent, but people that just aren't as, efficient or effective with like their work. So they'll go to like big DAOs to try and get more funding. And usually it's a good thing. They'll scale and, it just takes more time. But there's that, and then there's like the actual fucking raiders who come to these DAOs and that try and create a very certain amount of influence. That even happened in Green Pill. Like the people that were trying when Iwaki was first trying to incept Green Pill, like some of the players that were trying to like start the DAO were, very clearly, not there to fund public goods.
Yeah.
So it's usually obvious. Sorry.
Yeah. And so it's something, I am a political, I say political science and college economics, right? I love thinking about these problem spaces of, human coordination and how things get messy when money gets involved. And so with the open bounties, one part of this innovation is like, okay, let's not raise money for an amorphous goal that is hard to judge, how are we doing at achieving this goal, right? Let's raise money for one very specific thing. Ideally, something that you can confirm very clearly. And so that's where this PYDH idea comes from, of like, okay, it has to be a single task. You have to be able to confirm it. And so the way that these work is that anybody can spin up a bounty. And then anybody can come in, they can say, I want to join that bounty. I like that idea. I want to see that thing get done. And they can add funds to it, right? And another person can add funds, and another person can add funds. And so now you're not just incentivizing things, but you're also able to, if you incentivize a good thing, there's that viral effect that can happen where a lot of people can say, oh, I want to see that happen too. And they can express that with their money. But the way that we keep it safe is that the bounty creator themselves, they are still the ones that get to say who won the bounty, right? They get to select a winner, but when they select, there's a 48-hour voting period where anybody who put in funds is then able to vote yes or no. If they vote no, right? If this person, what's the worst case scenario? Somebody raises a lot of money and they try to pay it out to themselves, right? Everybody, if the people who put in extra money, they have a majority voting share, they can vote no, and the money doesn't get released, and then they can withdraw their funds, right?
It's pretty likely that they would have the majority in that sort of situation as well.
Yes,
unless it was gamed perfectly, which would be hard.
And it's like, I mean, okay, fair game, right? There is a way to exploit it if you undertake a very good social engineering scheme.
It has to be perfect, like
yeah, and you just nuked your entire online reputation or on-chain reputation after that.
Yeah.
Right? So okay. I hope it was worth it, right?
Somebody goes, keep it real with me, Kenny. I don't know if you can see the comments on the right. It usually starts at the private chat, but there's a comment button, and
Coney there it is. Yes.
Yeah, Coney goes, keep it real with me, Kenny. Is this app built for hitmen?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what everybody, like, I remember showing it to my uncle, and he was like, well, this makes me worried, like, bounties. Bounties. Why you gotta call it bounties? I'm like, I don't really know what else you can call it. Like, what's the other word for this? Maybe I need to pivot more to the incentivization language. But built for hitmen. Well, under our terms of service, we say nothing illegal. So no, right? Transparent. No, I do not want people hiring hitmen, and it is,
We'll have a
this is
Silver Road round too. We don't want you to go down that route.
No, God, no. It is right. This is a permissionless app. It's built. These are smart contracts, right? Somebody could, in theory, put a bounty out for that, but the front end is centralized, so we could nuke it from the front end. And if they really wanted to just run it on an own alt front end, it could work, right? So that is one drawback here, right? And it's like the reality of building in these decentralized spaces. But where I will push back on that of like worrying about, okay, people are going to use this for terrible illegal things. It's like, why would you want to broadcast your hitman hiring on a public database? And then like, what are the it's hard for me to get people to do very simple things. I can put out bounties right now for like $5, go buy a coffee, and people still don't get it done. Right. Okay. I don't know what the likelihood is that a hitman's going to come across this website and they're going to see it and they're going to be like, oh, I'll trust that this money gets paid out to me. I'm pretty sure hitmen want like secure cash in a bag.
It's like 80% up front, I'm pretty sure, in that business, if not more.
Right. So good point from the comments, but I'm not too worried at this point. And overall, I do believe this app does come from a place of optimism that like a lot of people are pessimistic these days about social media and what's, what it's doing to human culture. And they think it brings out the worst in people. And my perspective on it is actually like, if you look at the most viral posts in social media history, they're generally very wholesome posts, right? It'll be like, a kid gets surprised by Superman at the hospital, right? Or like a kid, what's that Chewbacca mask one that did insane numbers on Facebook back in the day, right? People want these wholesome, nice things to rally around, and so I don't know. I think that the majority of POIDH's traffic, if we did get big, if a lot of people started using it, it would generally be used for more wholesome things. Or maybe I'm wearing rose-colored glasses, but that's my belief there.
No, I think you're definitely right, because if people want to do things, I mean, it's the same reason criminals don't use fucking crypto. Like, you use cash, you know what I mean? Like, it's about privacy. Like, there are other things that you're looking for, like when you're committing crime, you do not want to use things that are trackable and traceable, like it's just like, it's common sense. Mike said forming some DAOs in Wyoming and really looking at stable governance participation coins, and you were talking about rebranding to incentivization, and he said reward participation proof is also like a good way to frame it. And Coney asked, does the bounty payment go in some form of on-chain escrow? I believe you said no.
So basically the POIDH smart contract itself is an escrow service, right? So when you create that bounty, you deposit the ETH into POIDH, and it is holding that as escrow. And then people can try to claim that money, right, via the smart contract. And if you confirm one of their claims, that process, right, it's a fully on-chain transaction. That process transfers their claim NFT to you, and the funds that were in escrow get transferred to the person. Minus we do take a 2.5% fee on any completed bounties. We don't take any fees anywhere else.
And technically, the one who put the bounty up could also be the one to claim the money if the bounty's not completed.
Yeah, you can always cancel, right? So there's two options. You can either cancel the bounty, and that just brings the money straight back to you, or you can pay it out to a claimant. Some people have used it for fundraising for themselves too, right? Where they say like, "Hey, put in money, and I am going to," like they tell very people very upfront, I am going to be the one that claims this, but you guys get to. It's interesting. You could use it for things like if you wanted to, lean on your community to give you money, but you wanted to make sure that community gets proved, that you're held accountable in some way, right? It's like, okay, now I'm gonna upload this photo of me doing this thing so you guys know that I did it. And then
Right.
there are ways to think like, oh, and maybe because everything is fully tracked, like, you can see the wallet addresses for contributors that deposit, the wallet addresses for claims, right? There's ways to, in the future, what I'd love to do is have these setups where it's like, okay, and after that bounty gets submitted, you could reward everybody who contributed with XYZ coin, right? And there's a lot of plug and play Legos you could do on top for rules that are triggered based off the way that bounties turn out.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Mike also said for SEO LLM, thoughts on Firecrawl.
For SEO LLM, thoughts on Firecrawl? I haven't heard of Firecrawl before.
Nor have I, to be honest. Check
Let
it
me
out.
see. Firecrawl handles JavaScript SPA dynamic content loading with minimum. Oh, turn entire website into LLM ready data. Power your apps with clean data crawl from any website. Huh.
Oh, also,
I'm not sure.
Make sure you send your base names, send your ETH addresses. If you don't have an ENS or a base name, just send the ETH address and DM me on Twitter. Feel free to, I will help you out. Feel free to reach out to me and I will help you get your base name. But I want to see those base names in the chat if you have a base name. And if you don't, send your ETH address.
Yeah, I do need to get the base name set up. I still haven't done that. On my base down,
let's
the
get
name
you a
that
base
shows.
name.
Yeah, I need it. The name that shows up is my GenChain name, so fix that. But yeah, Firecrawl. I don't. Yeah, what's the use case, Mike? I guess there are things around start free. Yeah, I'm so out of it. If you had asked me 3 years ago, I used to work at SEO agencies, and I was just deep in it, right? Because I had 30 different websites I'm running at the same time, right? And like, luckily, you have account managers who deal with the customers, but it's just I would wake up and just get pinged nonstop of questions like this, and so I would have known about it because I got hit all the time with like the most cutting edge stuff. But nowadays, the work I do is pretty cut and dry. I'm not doing research on the cutting edge of LLM stuff, but it has made SEO interesting the past 2 years. It hasn't killed us yet, so that's nice.
Have you been using AI for anything SEO related? Out of curiosity.
For some things, yes. Like I do we do a lot of content creation, right? And so I got into the SEO world because I actually started as a freelance writer, right? That's actually how I got into crypto. I was a freelance writer for Bitcoin Magazine back in 2014, way back in the day. Right. And then I was writing in a lot of different industries, and it led me down this SEO path. Because if you're a writer online and then you realize, oh, if I write the right way, I can make money because I show up for certain queries, right? It opens a lot of different pathways. But yeah, so where I use AI, right? I mean, it's great for writing, right? I don't use it to replace everything, but for coming up with different sections or rephrasing things in a way you want to do it, it's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen people have a ton of success with like automated AI pages as well. And where people get worried about it, they're like, Google's going to penalize it. But I even used, like, one of the biggest unlocks for me was, templated content for SEO. And this is back in like, 2017, 2018, 2019, before big LLMs. But I would use content that was pretty much duplicate content. Just you're finding ways to put the keywords into that content based off the query and based off the page design at scale for a website. So you can like launch 500 pages for a website and, a snap, right? The next day and have huge results. And with that, people got worried about it because they're like, oh, it's duplicate content. But no, if you're still doing pages that are helpful to an end user and people are searching for pages like this, Google doesn't penalize you. And it's the same thing with AI, right? If you're using AI in a creative way that at the end of the day is helpful for creating content that is useful to a real human searcher, Google's going to index you, right? There are no hard and fast rules. in SEO. I mean, there's some, but a lot of things are more flexible than most people than they appear when people read on the internet about how SEO works. Oh, I think your mic is muted.
Oh, damn it. So fucking close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never used Firecrawl personally. But yeah, that sounds about right. I wonder, Mike, have you used Firecrawl before? Do you have any specific opinions on it? Or maybe you're looking for some.
Let me, I'll do a quick search on Twitter. SEO blog writing with Firecrawl.
He said you answered his question.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Got it.
Always happy to tangent into SEO stuff. I still love that space.
It's a necessary one. That is for sure.
Yeah. And I do think it dovetails nicely with what POIDH is to me, right? Which is it's this tool for incentivizing and confirming truth on the internet, which is what SEO is in a way. It's like how do you have to understand, how does Google tease out what is true on the internet, and how does it present that information to people? So it has been fun to build this in parallel with that career, and to see a lot of the similarities in this problem space of confirming truth on the internet, where it's a dark forest. Everybody's trying to lie, everybody's trying to steal each other's money, but there's ways you can do it that seamlessly source truth, and it's fun when you can make that happen.
I completely agree. I mean, that's literally what this infrastructure is for. It's so we have real coordination mechanisms.
100%.
We also do have a Farcaster panel. We have a Farcaster panel tomorrow, and Linda and Kartik, Dylan, a few other people are going to be on. So feel free to stop by again tomorrow. I'll actually post the Luma here in the chat for everyone.
Sweet. I'll try to tune in.
Yeah, I secured Linda a couple days ago, and right after that, it was a full go. Once Linda was down, it was obvious it needed to happen.
Heck yeah! Wait, is that FarCon related, or is FarCon happening right now?
FarCon is happening May 1st, literally next week. I guess right after next week. Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to be at that?
I will indeed. Are you going to be there?
I wish I could do it, but just I got 2 kids, 2 kids, so it's tough to get away, especially because PIDH is still very much like a side project for me, so I can't really justify it totally. But I do want to go. I mean, Farcaster has been so important to me, and I want to meet everybody, IRL at some point. So I'll make it hopefully next year.
Honestly,
I'll be a little older.
That's what I love about like ETH Denver, for example, is like everyone shits on Denver, but it's so nice that everyone just goes to like, this random ass place, and it's like much cheaper than going to like San Francisco or New York. So it's just more accessible for more people, so like that's kind of probably what we should do for the next FarCon. As much as I'd love for it to be in Japan, I think the next FarCon should probably be something like maybe even in like Latam, like, I don't know, something that is just the most accessible place for the most people.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if y'all do it in Seattle, I'll be there for sure. Seattle, that's my home career. And there's been a good community of people in the Farcaster Seattle group that are meeting up now, and that's been nice.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I do know a couple of like cool ass Seattle people who are in crypto, not necessarily on Farcaster, but they're around.
Yeah, no, it's a good community here, but it's primary. It does seem that the industry is so focused on New York City and LA, San Francisco. Seattle's a sleepier community, but we're still active.
Yeah. I mean, Seattle's still pretty big in like the tech community in general. I mean, the thing is, New York and SF are 2 of the most tapped in, cities in like traditional markets. So it makes sense that, they'll be the voices for innovation, I guess, until this tech is a little bit more distributed.
Oh, somebody says Tahoe. I would love a Tahoe FarCon.
That would be crazy. Yeah. Tahoe FarCon. That's hilarious. Yeah. I feel like it needs to be like fucking Salt Lake City or something like super
Mm.
random and low key.
Yeah, I spent some time living in Phoenix. That's very
Ooh,
random and low key, but I love
Phoenix would be
Phoenix. It's
super cool.
beautiful. The desert's so beautiful. I miss it. Yeah, because I mean I'm Seattle born and raised, but when I lived down there, it was just to have that much sunlight every single, almost every single day is unmatched. And when you get to go hike out into the desert, like Sonoran Desert's just so diverse, so gorgeous. Yeah, it's fun. So there's my pitch for Phoenix.
I hear you. I was born and raised in upstate New York, so it's very cloudy, very rainy. I'd say 9 months out of the year, so
Yeah.
at least. So it's very unfortunate to not live in a place with much sunlight, but it definitely has its other benefits.
Wait, where are you at in the world now?
In New York, right now. I'm between New
Okay.
York City and Tokyo, more or less. I've been doing a little work in Tokyo around onboarding a local government to use on-chain mechanisms to fund
Oh,
local impact. So it's been
well,
exciting, and local government's really interested in allowing citizens to allocate tax dollars using some of these mechanisms. So we've really been pushing it. It's been a very exciting, but at the same time a drag working with a Japanese
mm,
government, because it's just so time consuming and so much work and effort for very little movement or return. But
yeah.
it will all be worth it in the end.
Well, if they're ever looking for a mechanism to incentivize these local improvements, I mean, show them POIDH on base. Like that is, yeah, that is
Exactly.
the dream is that it's able to. And I think we talked about this a little bit, and like we were
Mhm.
having our back and forth on crypto use cases, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Of like, what are the things that crypto can actually thrive on? And I'm a bit of a contrarian to a lot of people, where a lot of people are focused on like successful Web 2 use cases and how do you strap crypto into that, right?
Right.
And whereas my focus tends to be what are like net new things that we can do, and also what are the pain points of modern life? Because for most people spend hours and hours and hours on the internet. Like they have all these apps and things that they love on the internet, right? And it's very hard to compete with these things that they already love, right? But what are the pain points of modern existence? And I feel like you're looking at people's connection to their local communities and people's feelings around how effective their governments are potentially at all-time lows, right? You
Yeah.
know, yeah. If you had to ask people, maybe going back 100 years, like how good do you feel about paying your taxes and the fact that those taxes will go to stuff you care about, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of people are very bearish on that right now, and so that is why I'm. Whereas like a lot of people think a lot of people see this opportunity with PRIDH, whereas I'm like, well, if we can build this tool that allows people to crowd fund money to get things done in their local communities in real life, I think that's something that's missing, and it addresses a pain point that a lot of people have, and it allows people to feel better about their communities and feel connected and feel like they're having an impact. And yeah, that's why I think this is important. And if the Japanese government wanted to take an on-chain initiative and start putting out small bounties for clean up a park here or pick up trash there, right? I'd love to support because those are the bounties I'm all about.
I mean, see, that's exactly the sort of thing we need. Like, I think what you built is literally the first step in that direction, where like individuals within that community can take it upon themselves to like fund that impact, etc. And then,
Mm,
like, we eventually need to get to and then there's two sides here. One could be a nonprofit is organized, and that nonprofit takes money from local government or, from donations, charity, etc., uses that money to fund things on POID, in the local community. And then
mm,
there's like the much larger, like at scale project where like the citizens are allocating tax dollars to these nonprofits that are funding things on POID, right? So like there's the project that that actually like executes the initiative, and then there's the project that helps citizens allocate to these initiatives. So, and that's like that's really where, you know, we've been helping the local government sort of move into that arena so that they can sort of scale this impact past, you know, like one initiative. But I think like one initiative that is doing something like this is extremely important. And as much as cool as it is for the local community to do it like bottom up, and for like you to decide for to pay for like the local parks basketball nets, you know, it's not something that like you can expect. It's something that like you wish will happen for sure, but like it's still important that you know, if the community wants this funded, it should be able to be funded. So like if people want to vote for more funding for like the local park, that it should be funded. But to your other point, you know, it's on all like what people believe will what people think should happen with the money is more diverse than ever. Like back in the day, you would fund infrastructure and everyone would agree that like this is where a tax dollar should be spent, right? Like these roads didn't exist before. We need to get to A to B, and this is how we do it. We can all agree on that. But like now these roads and all the infrastructure that needs to exist, like currently does, and if new infra needs to be built, like it will pretty imminently. The harder part is like doing maintenance on infrastructure more than anything, and like who to pay to do this maintenance, and like what materials to continue using. And since we can't make any decisions around like this supply chain, you know, it gets super corrupted. And now we know for like a fact that we aren't allowed, or that suppliers aren't allowed to purchase like more modern materials that last longer, because the construction companies won't get paid as often. So like current incentives aren't aligned in a way where we can actually create real progress in the infrastructure we're building and the resources we're using to build it, etc. So like the problem is like steered to such a political one that like it's not even the technology that like is the issue. However, we need to create new technology to circumvent, you know, the possibility for those issues. Even though it's almost impossible because like they're human issues. So no matter what tech we create, someone's gonna find a way to fucking game it. So like it's just like can we actually get to a point where like people are using these systems in a good faith way, that it actually creates like a legitimate network effect of people doing the right thing for the right reasons, and it creates positive value, you know? So like we're trying, you know. I'm super glad. That's why I'm super glad to have you on today. Super glad to have this conversation. Like this is what it's about. Like these are the tools we need to get into people's hands. And like the tool that you've built is like I love what you've built, because it literally is the first step to show people like this is how you can self-organize, like this is how you just do things, and how you show like the rest of the community that it is possible. Like we don't need to all sit back and say, hey, the government's never going to fund the things that matter to us, so like, you know, it's not worth putting our time and energy. And of course that's why none of us actually went into politics. Like we all went into crypto to go build tech to circumvent, you know, the need for a lot of that bullshit that we all know exists. So like this is how you make real lasting change and real impact. And you know, putting talking heads in a different position of power isn't going to change the tech we use. We have to actually get people to, we have to actually change the hearts and minds of people, and get them to understand, you know, why this is important, why they should use it, how it creates value. And that just takes time. So with enough education, you know, maybe we'll be able to create real adoption for some of these real use cases that me and you genuinely care about.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. I think it will happen naturally because it is a better way of organizing. I just think it's hard to see right now because it's something
That's different.
completely new that hasn't
Yeah,
existed before. And one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately was, you know, what is, in your opinion, you know, what is the most important new technology that the internet has enabled, in your opinion?
I genuinely think it's the ability to allocate capital as a community in like the most transparent, efficient, and decentralized way possible. Like it
So
truly is coordination. Yeah, sorry.
So coordination, the one thing I would, be like, we still have to do it in this old outdated way. Like we have to do it in centralized ways. Well, not now with POID. POID just fix this. But my answer on, what is that most important product, I would say it is social media, right? Nothing nothing about the internet, nothing that the internet has fundamentally enabled has changed the world more than social media, right? We have the United States has a president now. He's a Twitter president. Like the guy built everything that is happening today, politically and globally and economically, is downstream of this platform was created where a guy could just go on and yap, but like it's wild when you think about it that way. Right?
I mean,
and
he's literally the first influencer to become president. Like that's crazy.
And it wasn't possible before social media. But now if you go back to like 1995, right, none of like the people that were thinking about what is the internet going to enable, what's the big thing the internet's going to enable, right? They're talking about things like e-commerce, which is still big, right? These things that, but they were still saying, well, you're still going to get your news from the New York Times. Right. You're still going to get your news from CNN, right? And they did not foresee this new way of communicating, which is completely different and only enabled by the internet. They didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
right?
Almost impossible to, yeah.
So, which is why I'm like, okay, crypto, we need to focus on these use cases that you can't, we focus a lot on use cases that seem like they should be obvious, right? And, I don't want to down talk DeFi, right? But it's a very obvious, it's like, okay, yeah, we'll do banking, right? We'll do new banking, and banking has existed before and we'll do it, but it's with crypto rails. And it's just, for a lot of people, it gets them excited. And for me, it doesn't, right? I'm just like, okay, it's, loans. Awesome.
No, literally, like it's crazy how excited people get about DeFi. Like it's actually crazy.
There's a lot, like I can get 3% API. I can do Ponzi schemes. Okay, but it's something that's it's a very obvious crypto use case. Whereas this, for me, I started thinking about it, and like humans have always organized money the same way. Okay, going back to like tribal days, right? How did the tribe, they have capital, right? Whatever it was back in the day, right? They have cows, they have seashells, whatever. They had some primitive form of money, right? Now we want to do stuff collectively with this, right? Okay, so how do we contribute and how do we manage that? You have to centralize it. There is no other way you can possibly do it, right? You have to pool it under a leadership structure, right? And whatever leadership structure you want to do, it could be a king, it could be communism, it could be fascism, it could be whatever, right? But it's still all the same. It's like, okay, we have this centralized governance structure. There's also a threat of violence if you don't contribute.
Right, literally,
it's forced, right? You will be thrown in prison.
Decisions, and we'll put you in jail if you don't agree.
Yeah. And, we all have our issues with it, but like, there is no other way to do this because the money isn't programmable.
Right.
Like somebody has to hold it. Somebody has to control it. Somebody has to make the decision about how it gets paid out. Right.
We literally have to trust somebody.
You have to trust somebody, right? There is no other way. The people can't keep their money. They have to give it up. They have to put it into a centralized treasury. And that, I view these governments, right? It's like an organic structure. All organic structures are the organic structures decay. They do. That's the laws of nature, right? They decay. And like for human organic structures, that's corruption, right? Corruption inevitably gets in there and people start, they become less effective, and there's really nothing, you can do on this.
They stagnate, there's many ways for decay to take form.
Right. And so with POID, and the way that I think about it and the way I like to present it from like a high level point of view is like, this is one of the first tools in existence where people can pool their money voluntarily and there is no centralization, they still maintain control, right? They're putting money into this pot, but when you deposit into an open bounty where we're collecting funds, you can withdraw that money at any time up until the time that it's confirmed, right?
Mhm.
And so it's a much more liquid and much more seamless way of people pooling this capital together without these problems of centralization. And you can do this with, we're just going to fund this one specific thing, and then this one specific thing, and then this one specific thing, which cuts out this potential problem of we have to pool all this money and now it gets corrupted and gets misused for other things, right? So people can collectively, with crypto, people can collectively organize to get things done without that centralization risk, which I think runs parallel to social media. When you talk about people can communicate with each other without, what was the centralization risk back then? Was censorship and primarily censorship. That was it, right? It's like you couldn't get your message out into the world because certain people held the megaphone, right? It was
Right. I
if
mean,
you want to
and
get
now
your
it's
message out.
full deplatforming, like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
not
And
only just
so,
censorship, but like literally like taking away everything you personally have built and value you created.
So
Owning
I
it.
think that's what gets me excited about this is that if we really focus in on how to use crypto to collaborate for human action to collaborate more seamlessly, that's something that is impossible to do with the old money. It's
Yep.
only possible with crypto. Let's lean into this thing that only we can do because we're not good at doing the stuff that other things can do.
You know what's funny? I'm glad you said that because we're so bad at it that like most DAOs in history have all failed like to this day, more or less, just because like we're really bad at this thing. And like just because the tech works better doesn't mean like we get slightly better at it. It just means like there's less corruption. So like, even though and there are plenty of DAOs that have allocated capital like very successfully together. Of course, like the majority haven't, but it's not to say it's because of like the DAO or the structure. It's usually
Yeah.
just the people involved in the decision-making process, and most of them are experiments anyways. So it's
Yeah.
not like the expectation was for them to like go extremely well. We're figuring all of this stuff out. It's all so new. So it's not that like it doesn't work. It's just that like we're getting better at it every day, and it takes a lot of time to figure out what works for what kind of people, what kind of like intentions, outcomes, etc. So like as we continue to walk this walk, we'll only get better at it, and like organizing capital, coordinating online, and using these mechanisms like together as a unit to build the future together will only get easier. We'll only get better at it, and people will, of course, find new ways to game it, and we'll find new ways to ensure they don't. And that we'll be in this iterative cycle for a while.
Yeah.
And until our future crypto things, our crypto institutions become the new decay.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think, well, they could become that new decay, but yeah, luckily, if you minimize human, and I feel it's always weird for me to say this, right? Minimize human governance as much as possible. It feels cold and heartless, right? But I still think there is room for human governance in different places. You just don't want it to be too. You don't want it to be over to have control over too much, right? It's the fundamental thing of like, why did Satoshi create Bitcoin in the first place? It's this belief that like humans can't handle the power, right, that comes with money supply. Like
Right.
the power of dictating money supply is so, it's Lord of the Rings shit right there, right? That is the ring.
You literally can't abuse it. Like there's in no way like it's gonna be abused, like for personal. It has to be like it's just human incentives.
Yeah, and that's why I love this. I got the point concept of like it is a human government, but it's human governance designed to end quickly, right? It's like one person creates a bounty, people pool money. Did the thing get done? It got done. All right, end it before things get corrupted, please. Like, just, we got it done. Let's move on to the next thing. You can put money into that next thing. But like, I don't want to be managing something that's there's committee meetings and ongoing worries about what are we going to do with this money. So yeah, this is how it's a fun problem space. I love it. So I appreciate you again having me on here to chat.
Of course. Yeah, no, I'm glad we had the conversation on Farcaster. It's been much needed, and people have really like fallen into like the narratives, and they're just getting baited online, getting emotional and stuff, and it's just like too much bear market vibes and not enough like conversation. And like that's all bear markets used to be, was conversation. Like, people didn't like in 2018, people weren't freaking out about like price never. I mean, there was definitely a chance price never went back up. Then we were like, hey guys, like, is this thing actually real now? Like, like, is crypto really here to stay? And we're all like, yeah, we're all gonna bet our fucking life on it, but like, we still don't know yet. Like, after 2021, we're all like, oh shit, like, this is definitely here to stay, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. So, but with 2018, it was like, it's mostly fun. It's like, we all might die here, but it's all worth it. Like, it's all just some good fun. Let's keep building and see what fucking happens. And man, we were definitely right.
Yeah. I wish I should have gone full-time crypto, because again, I was writing freelance articles 2014, but that bear market, the 2015, 2016, like, that was brutal. And I wasn't, I dabbled in it, I wrote, but then I was like, I need to be responsible, and I can't go full-time crypto. I should probably, diversify my options. And it's good.
That bear market, we literally didn't know it.
It seemed like it was dead. I remember.
No,
I will never forget the morning I woke up before going to my crappy job back then. Like, stare at my phone, and Bitcoin was below $200. I was like, fuck. Yeah, it's over. It's done. I thought I had big dreams for this thing, but it's probably not going to happen. But it always came back, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was in high school then, and I had heard about Bitcoin, but I had not like looked at price or anything, like not until 2017, like early mid 2017, my first year in college. That's when I like really dove in, and there was XRP shells everywhere. Like, the amount of marketing Ripple was doing back then was fucking insane. Like, I mean, literally buying PRs from every goddamn news outlet in the country and in the world, saying how every bank in the entire world is going to be using Ripple and all this stuff. I'm like, I just remember like reading it and being like, what the fuck are these people talking about?
Like, what am I missing? What am I missing about Ripple?
No, literally. And then, dude, I did so much research back then about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then once I like did the research about XRP after learning more about Bitcoin, Ethereum, I was like, oh my god, these people are bullshit. And like, I mean, like, it made sense, because everyone and their grandmother was like shilling XRP. Everyone was buying it. Everyone, dude. I knew people who like didn't know shit about crypto, like hadn't even heard about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and bought a cold storage just to put fucking the Ripple that they bought on it. Like Ripple was going crazy with like their marketing spend, and it worked. It genuinely fucking worked. And like, they're still chilling out here today. The fact that they weren't hit with a larger fine for like telling people that the token that they're going to buy is going to go up in price because these banks are going to use it, like, insane stuff, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it couldn't have been like more illegal. I don't even know like exactly how to call it, but like, that's one of the main reasons I really dove deep into crypto, because of like the amount of attention and just the amount of marketing that they were doing. It was crazy.
Yeah, Ripple does a good job of appealing to the idea that blockchains in and of themselves are the product, right?
Yeah.
And so in that 2014, 2015 window, right, that was the era of blockchain, not Bitcoin.
Right, exactly. Private blockchains and public, all that fucking bullshit. Institutional blockchains, and
which I will take a very strong stance and just plant my flag and say nothing of use will come out of institutional blockchains. Like the key innovation of blockchains is decentralization,
Yeah.
right? If it is not decentralized, I really don't think there is anything there, right? There's fun that can be had on blockchains, right? And like, I mean, I'm a bit of a
Well, is a good
hypocrite.
example.
Yeah, my app works on the Gen Chain L3. That's about as centralized as it can possibly get, right?
Yeah.
I like to think there's a gradient of decentralization with PIH that you can choose. But for a lot of people, that message is just so appealing. I think it's very hard for people to it's the value proposition of decentralization is incredibly abstract. Most human brain not good at that. Doesn't work there, right? And so there's something about that messaging of, well, Ripple has blockchain technology that people love that shit. Like it fills in the hole. They're like, yeah, I didn't grok that whole decentralized thing. But this has blockchain technology and it's going to be used by banks. And why is it better? Like, you don't need an explanation.
It's new tech. Yeah. New tech is always better. Yeah.
So why? There's an old saying about like movies where it's like they just need the best guys. And it's like, why are they the best? I just need my guys. They're the best.
No, 100%.
And yeah, Ripple, they marketed that, and it has worked for them. And they're still hanging around. The blockchain's still worth a lot of money. But yeah, I think you see that everywhere in this industry once you start to look of this dichotomy between the belief that blockchain tech in and of itself makes things better. I'm not convinced of that. And so that's why I care about decentralization above all else.
I completely agree, because once you go the full like appeal to normies, like I mean, and this is literally why ETH price is lagging, is because like this is what ETH doesn't want to do, is like just appeal to the mainstream and then get mainstream adoption from something that isn't real, or is too speculative to like really create positive some value. Like Vitalik's goal is so clear in like creating positive some value for society, that when there are things that happen on chain that he feels isn't doing that, it makes sense why he's not as big of an advocate. But like that being said, I do understand like people's gripes of like the EF not using DeFi protocols, Vitalik not being a proponent of like new tech in general on Ethereum if it's not something he like fully believes in, even if it's like something that's being used. So it's like there's definitely like a fine line to walk here, but I mean, Ethereum is still an open and accessible platform, and it's really important that like we put these permissionless platforms on a pedestal, no matter what's being built on top of them.
Yeah, Ethereum is. I have a complicated relationship with Ethereum, just because
I think we all do.
I was one of the more, when I joined Farcaster. So I was working at a company called Block Native at the time. I don't know if you heard of Block Native before,
yes,
right?
I have.
So, Ethereum infrastructure stuff. So I was working, I was on their content team. They hired me. So that was when I went full-time crypto. Right? And that was like June 2022, right before the merge. So it was a super fun time. And I got to nerd out and write really complex blogs on like MEV and proof of stake, right? And one of my biggest SEO wins ever, we were like number 2 for merge countdown on the day of the merge, which was just crazy amount of traffic to the website, right?
That's insane.
I spun up a countdown. Nobody else was trying for the keyword. I was like, we'll just have a countdown page. People are going to search this thing, right?
Yo, you're elite.
So yeah, that was great, but it was fun to see it from Ethereum from the inside out, because I got to know the roadmap really well, and like what was the merge doing, and I had to listen to all core dev calls and things like that. But it also, peeking behind the curtain there, I am a Bitcoin maxi, right? That's probably never changed. And peeking behind the curtain, I was like, man, this seems like a lot of complexity, a lot of moving parts. And, we had just had this conversation about, human organizations, they tend to get corrupted, and especially when they're incredibly big, right? And they have a lot of moving parts. And so, that was, I posted a lot on Farcaster being like, yeah, I'm generally, I think we have a bull market coming up, but like, I'm not sure how ETH's going to do. Right. And it ended up, that prediction has ended up working out. I don't like that it worked out very well for me, because I know a lot of friends who are, they are heavily invested in ETH. Right. But it's the reality of what happened. And now I feel like, looking at ETH BTC, looking at that ratio, I feel like it's just, I don't know. Now everybody's piling on ETH and getting bearish on it at the wrong time.
Yeah.
When I still feel like there is, it's a complicated relationship with me, because I'm a BTC maxi, but my app isn't on Bitcoin. It's on Arbitrum Base and Degen Chain. It's on EVM, right? It's still, that's the easiest place to build. And it is the easiest place to execute decentralized compute, right? And it does have this culture of people that are willing to chat with you about stuff and willing to listen to your opinions, whereas Bitcoin maxis mainly just go on podcasts with each other and talk about Sailor. It's just not interesting, right?
Right.
Like, I hang out on Farcaster.
There's no intellectual curiosity in the Bitcoin community, and once again, I started as a Bitcoin maxi in this space as well. So, I mean, and I still am to some extent. Like, the only reason I would say I'm not is because, like, I mean, like, eventually there probably will be some better technology that we all agree has better properties than Bitcoin, and we'll all have to, like, reconvene at that point in time. It might not change Bitcoin's position, but I'm just not entirely sure. But like, Bitcoin obviously is here to stay in terms of like the current landscape.
Yeah,
but also,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, most people like who are in crypto at this point own both Bitcoin and Ethereum. So like, when it gets to this level, you're now playing a financial game and this is where I feel bad for builders, because like, they just want to like build on a chain and just like do their thing and get revenue for the product that they build, etc. When like, these insanely large financial institutions now have the incentive to pump Bitcoin when they're like to sell Ethereum into Bitcoin, pump Bitcoin, sell that Bitcoin into Ethereum, pump Ethereum. You know what I mean? Like, there's real incentive for rotation now, because like most of these like very high quality funds, as much as they love to hold large amounts, they also love to, make sure that they can maximize returns. So it's we're now just in a position where the game has been financialized like by traditional markets enough that we won't see the same levels of volatility, but we're still going to see like a really, really drastic changes in the market that nobody will be prepared for, like, and it won't really benefit builders in any way, shape, or form, especially because most builders can't really buy bottoms. It's not like they're just like sitting on a ton of dry powder to buy bottoms. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't be building. They'd probably just be an investor, So
most people can't. Most people can't. It's harder than ever. This quote unquote bull cycle. It was so. It's not like you had to buy the right meme and sell it in a single 2-week window. It's nothing like, you and I were both around for 2017. Literally buy anything on any exchange, and you were going to get a 30x pump and get a clean exit window, right?
It was crazy.
The opportunities are gone. The opportunities are gone. Like, you could still make money. But you have to grind for it. You cannot just be a casual participant in this industry anymore and expect you're going to make life-changing money.
And let's say that you are, and you only put money in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, right? Like, okay, yeah, you made maybe 5 times, like maybe 10 times max, right? On your entire portfolio, which is like nothing in comparison to past bull markets.
Yeah, those old days. And so that is why I am also like, I'm building something that's non-speculative, and I think that time has come for apps that are non-speculative to have some sort of shine, right? Whereas, I mean, it's still tough, and I'm talking bullishly about a future that doesn't exist yet, right? At the end of the day, like, I don't have a lot of users. I don't have a ton of daily active users. Probably like one person's done a transaction during this entire conversation, maybe. But still, I think that you have to realize that this reckoning is coming,
Yeah.
and we can't just keep. I mean, what's the meta? The meta of the day is coin everything, and I will be publicly transparent that like I don't think that's a great long-term use case, right? Like I don't think that's the solution that people are looking for. That they just want to speculate on a million different coins with crypto. As much as this past bull market makes it seem like it was, I don't think that's our solution. Right? I think the solution has to be non-speculative because of what you're saying, right? The actors are so sophisticated, people will get wrecked so quickly. We cannot. I don't want to tell my friends to buy crypto anymore
Same.
because they get wrecked immediately. There's nothing safe
These
other
huge
than
dips, these huge dips are the only time I'll tell people to buy, and like I'll literally be like, "You've been asking me to buy. This is the only time I will say buy." Like when price is down, like
yeah.
if you like at this past bear like bull market, anything over like 2,000 ETH, I was like, "Yo, you've already basically missed the boat." Like unless you want a fucking 2 times, which you probably won't even get. You know, it's not even worth it. Like
Yeah. Unless you want to get on, you want to grind, and you want to be on Twitter and figure out what meme is going to be the runner of the day.
100%.
There's opportunity there, but like I couldn't tell friends to just buy something that's going to go up. I can't do
Exactly.
it.
The buy
It's
and
not going
hold
to work.
phase. Yeah. It's
Which is, another like I think building something that's not only non-speculative but lets people get onboarded to crypto without having to buy crypto. Right. That is PYDH. That is that guy that replaced the net at the park. Right. He earned crypto. He didn't have to trade his USD for it. I think that's a powerful concept, and leaning into that of saying how to create these opportunities for a normal person to earn their first crypto instead of forcing them to buy their first crypto. Because when you buy it, now you watch that price chart and it went down and you feel bad because you took a loss. Whereas if you earn $5 of Ethereum and it went down to 450, that's a loss, right? But it doesn't feel like gambling in the same way. You traded your time for that stuff.
Yep.
Right. And I think psychologically, that's what could make something like PYDH a great onboarding tool for the masses.
I completely agree. It's the same with like Warpcast wallet. You know, you'll get some tokens in your Warpcast wallet, and mostly it's USDC, so you know it won't really fluctuate. But you'll get some of the airdrops and all that stuff too. And you're not like, oh my gosh, this was $10 and now it's $8. I can't believe I lost $8. It's like, damn, like I still got $8 for
This
free.
was free money.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, I mean, if it's like a Zora airdrop, you might not feel the same way because I mean, that's the only real like tough thing that I have about people being like, yo, if you got free money, like shut the fuck up. It's like, yeah, that's true, but also like most people who got free money spent way more than they got. So it's like in no way, shape, or form are people getting free money. You know what I mean? Like we are using a protocol, we are giving this protocol our money, and they happen to like give us a portion back. Like I know we all have never experienced anything like this before, and like you know these airdrops and this new mechanism is something that Uniswap more or less like you know invented, but like us getting real ownership in something that we contributed to is like really special, and like that should be the narrative, not like you're getting free money, because it's really not free money. And the fact that people call it free money is like it's super counterintuitive to like what it actually is in terms of like Zora airdrops. And not to say there isn't plenty of free money, and of course we have gotten free money. Like really good examples of free money are like the eggs on Warpcast and things like that. Like yeah, they suck in your attention for a second, but unless you're like on there claiming eggs every day, like I haven't interacted with that mini app once. Like I literally received free money and did nothing in return for it, right? Like most protocols that you interact with though, like you're unless you're like you're maybe not be like farming it, but if you're actually using it and you get something back, like that wasn't free money, like that was actually like a reward, you know. So or like ownership, even especially in like Uniswap's case, because if you sold your uni and you took the free money, you now no longer have ownership in the protocol, right? Of course it's dependent on like how much you know revenue. It's like Hyperliquid, right? Like how much of the revenue is actually used to buy back tokens, so that way that the token holders actually do receive some benefit for holding the tokens as if they do own a part of the ownership. You know, like it's basically like a form of equity. Like owning Hype is like owning equity in Hyperliquid, which is like how decentralized protocols should more or less like should tokenize. And this is, you know, why I was saying like founders don't use Clanker, like founders don't use fucking like Gatekeep or Flaunch, you know, or an artist don't use Zora, right, to coin anymore, right? Like this form of tokenization is not the highest quality form by any means. And as much as I think there are better ways to distribute certain forms of content, where I do agree with Zora is, or like this new form is like I think there is value in these sort of attention economies where like in this bubble, more or less, people get to decide like how valuable this content is at a certain point in time. Like it's sort of like it's a way to price like people's attention, and I think like that's useful in like in a bubble. But like outside of that, like the value only goes so far, and like deprecating a platform that artists use to like distribute like real work and like actually capture value of that real work to and merge it into like this like very degenerate speculative attention economy. Like I think that attention economy is valuable, but I think it is so much less valuable than like what they had before to like the average person. Even though it's technically more valuable to their investors and to base, etc. Like to the average person, it's so much less valuable, you know. So that's like sort of my overall take is like I'm glad what they built exists, but like there was no need to destroy a valuable product for this to exist.
Yeah, they had a lot of good. It's been tough to watch from the sidelines. I guess not tough, just confusing. 'Cause I just wasn't.
Terrible.
I was
You
on
shouldn't have to rely on
Farcaster.
Base and Jesse to shill for you for like your product go to market. I'll say that.
Yeah,
first and foremost.
yeah. I mean, and the problem there is like some conflicts. I mean, Coinbase Ventures is an investor. Like it's just
and it looks super fucking bad. And you know, of course, like Jesse isn't personally invested. He's not personally invested in Coinbase Ventures, but like, and you know, it's not like his personal incentives, but like it looks fucking terrible. You know, like the optics of it are so bad. And like to not be thinking of that, and for Zora not to do any comms regarding like the transition to a new platform, the fact that they're deprecating their chain, you know what I mean? Like there's so many things that like Zora could have just been open and honest about, and nobody would have a problem if like they told us these things up front instead of like them fucking artists like from behind, and then everyone expecting for it to like just like blow over and like not have happened is just like it's a shitty thing to do, you know. And it's a really shitty like position for them to take, especially like since we've been supporting them for so long, you know, and been like, hey, like these are genuine builders who care about creators, like use their thing. And then 3 years later, they're like, hey, we actually don't care about creators. We care about traders, and we care about like our investors more. And we're going to launch a token for our investors to exit. And you're like, dog, what the fuck, bro? Like, and it's not to say you aren't good product builders. It's not to say like you have these really cool experiments and you've iterated really well. Like all of that is true, but just fucking tell people, man. Like just tell people what you're doing. Like, like how hard is it to like be honest with your community, you know, and face them like front first and say, hey, artists, like we know you love this thing, but like we need to take this in a different direction, you know, for X, Y, and Z. You know, it's just like, I mean, man, it's just like it's so obvious like how they should have went about it, and like no one would have any problem if they just, you know, went about it in a regular way. But like this is why I came to bat for Jesse, because at the end of the day, like Jesse just supports builders. He wants to see more people experimenting, you know, and it's really important. Like when Jesse was very obviously wrong when that there was this screenshot of Hinge, I guess. I've never used Hinge, and I was
I saw that story of like a girl.
I was very unaware of like the screenshot, and like the conversation just doesn't make sense to me. Like when you look at the screenshot, it looks like the woman whose picture it is sent a message to somebody saying like, hey, like let me get you on chain. And then I guess so, but I'm not even sure if she's the one who sent it. Like that's what it looks like. and then somebody coined it, and then of course I guess the person who coined it wasn't the person who sent the message. The person who sent the message might not even be the woman who the picture was. So like that, it's just so fucking confusing what even is going on there, and like to expect Jesse to like know exactly what was happening in that moment when it was coined, instead of him just being like, yo, like, thanks for coining, is like, it's asinine. It's completely asinine to think like, but it's also like ridiculous on Jesse for not like doing slightly more due diligence on like this actually being the person's content who's coining it, right? Because like that's something Jacob does very intentionally, is like when he's um giving attention to somebody's like new coin, or like when I make a viral meme on Twitter, he'll like make sure I'm the one who's coining it, and that's like very important, I think, from Jacob's position. And like Jesse needs to be doing that too if he's gonna be like shilling these coins. He needs to be like, hey, like this person actually created this viral meme, but of course he's going to get it wrong every now and again. And immediately, as soon as he realized he got it wrong, deleted the tweet, apologized. Like that's what you want to see. And if like you're hating on the founder for doing like a crypto founder for doing something no other crypto founders have ever done or will do, it's like, we'll keep getting SBFs, we'll keep getting Doquans, we're only going to get way shittier people if like we hate on people for doing the right thing. Like not everyone's always going to be right, but like let's at least support people when they're honest about being wrong.
Yeah. Jesse's just so relentlessly optimistic that I can never really. I mean, I've disagreed with Jesse publicly on stuff, and
I even disagree with the Zora shills. It's way too intense.
But at the end of the day, I do think he's a very positive person that fully believes in that message of like positivity above all else. I think it's very hard. It can maybe be hard for him sometimes to take critical stances on stuff when that is what's needed, right? It's like it's hard, if you are laser focused on be positive, be positive, be positive. Sometimes you might not see when you gotta be critical of things sometimes, and not everybody's gonna have good spirits. I mean,
he got
optimist.
In my opinion,
optimist. Like, you got, right? You're gonna get got. Like again, this is a dark forest. We're in an industry that is a dark forest. You will get shanked if you don't do things properly.
Literally.
Right? And I am relentlessly optimistic. I believe wholeheartedly. I think me and Jesse would vibe on this idea that like human beings are good. Human beings are inherently good. I think a lot of psychology proves that. In general, you can find that humans are programmed to like, if you receive a gift, you want to give back to people. It's a fundamental rule of human psychology, right? Like we want to cooperate with each other and be good. But there are things about human nature that you just cannot change, right? Especially in these speculative environments. Like I was watching that Bankless video, and when he's talking about like, he's like, I believe that we can use our brains to value these coins, and that we can, basically saying like markets can be efficient, markets can be logical. And I'm just sitting there like, they just aren't. They're not. They're never going to be. At the end of the day, every content coin is going to have the same chart. There's going to be a spike at the beginning and then a dip off. I work in analytics, right? Like I do SEO for website pages. And it's like, I've seen that chart a million times. That's, you run a promo for something, a bunch of people go to that page, and then nothing else is done to promote it, and it just dies. It never gets visitors again, right? That is what the chart will look like for all of these things, and will just be diminishing marginal returns forever and ever. And he's talking about we can shift the way that we value things, and there's going to be long-term value, and people are going to be logical, and they're going to think about who did it, and they're just not. We cannot change the way that humans interact in large group, like mass group psychology is pretty like we know it. We know what happens. It's like I think that Zora is going to unlock the way to change how humans value fleeting moments of content on the internet. No, I do not. I'm sorry, but more power to you. And if y'all do it, awesome. I was wrong. I will gladly eat crow. But
I feel very similarly. It's not that I don't think it's ever going to happen. It's that I'm, very skeptical of this way of doing it. but it's not to say it's impossible. Like there definitely is a chance. And like this is the start of that chance. It's definitely like far from, like whatever the outcome actually looks like. But yeah, I think it's worth, like, I still think it's worth it, although I disagree with like the execution and many other things around it. Like I do think the experiment is worth it, and like a worthy fight, I guess, is the best way to put it. But there's
I
just,
think
there's,
garnering content on the internet is directionally correct. But
yeah, I mean, the most important part I would say is the fact that we can create provenance in a very real and obvious way now for at least who is the original creator. But I still 100% think you're right that like most people genuinely don't give a fuck, especially these like speculators and traders that like Zora is attracting. Like these people are happy to buy the coin of, you know, the screenshot that wasn't from the actual woman herself. You know what I mean? These traders don't give a fuck. Like as long as that token's gonna pump, like they're in. But like the rest of us, like we do care. Like Jesse cares, like Jacob cares, me and you care. Like we care that the woman who's like, or the person who's making the money off that coin is the woman in the picture that, it is. Like those are things that we do care about. And I'm glad that something exists for us to at least know who the original creator is, and hopefully like we'll see in markets like the value will be driven towards those like real creators. We've seen both. Like we've seen like that value like get instantly nuked when the actual creator makes a coin, and we've seen like not much change at all, and we've seen the opposite. So like nothing has been proved one way or the other. Like it all exists currently. So I don't know if like that probably is what's not going to change, is like, enough people might care about this one coin because the people whose attention it's in front of does care about that thing, but this other one, it's like only speculators and traders who are paying attention, so they don't give a fuck at all. So I guess it depends like whose attention you're really bringing to the thing. So like that's why I'm glad that like the infrastructure for the ability to coin it at least exists. I hate the term coining. I hate the fact that they're calling them tokens. I hate like the tokenization. I like all of that. I think is dumb and stupid and like unnecessary. But I think the actual like mechanism and like like the underlying tech is genuinely valuable, and like the experience can provide like
just lost
some
audio
form
here. Sorry, 1 second.
got it. But yeah, some form of positive value. Yeah, Jacob, that's a really, really good point. That makes me want to go play Elden Ring. Actually, I didn't play Oblivion. I only played like the newer Elder Scrolls off rip, and of course one of the best games of all time. So I really need to go try Oblivion, and have been wanting to play it since I beat the new Skyrim. But it's just such an old game. It was really hard to get into the original Oblivion. So I'm really glad that the remaster is now out.
Sorry about that. My AirPods died, and then when that happened, the MacBook speakers weren't working, so I couldn't hear anything you were saying.
No, it's good. It do be like that. Jacob was saying, you see this a lot with video games too. For instance, Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remaster saw 100K users on Steam in the first day. You're right. They'll never see those numbers again.
Yeah. And that's a problem with the token model. Whereas, what is wrong with NFTs? Now, I'm talking my own book here because PYDH is collecting NFTs, but NFTs work at like we have this model that works for valuing a fungible or a non-fungible thing, right? It's like
what the problem is? It doesn't create enough fucking transaction volumes for Coinbase Ventures and for Zora.
Yeah. And Pump Fund did all this stuff. Like Pump Fund was the popular thing. Whereas, I look at trends. I looked at the SEO trends. I posted a couple of times about this, right? And meme coins didn't do shit to bring in the general public. Like there is if you look at SEO trends for the past year, meme coins have had some spikes here and there. NFTs had much more general search interest on Google, Like that, at least like the general public was like, oh, this is somewhat interesting, right? Artwork on the blockchain, it makes sense. They weren't buying meme coins, right? Like it was generally an in industry thing, which again is, I'm like, don't pivot your product to meme coin launcher, because I think you're creating something that's, you bring up artists felt betrayed, right? Like artists like
They were
NFTs.
betrayed. Yeah.
Artists NFTs make sense. You meant that it's the thing artists have been doing for centuries, right?
Dude, that's what pissed me off. The Daylight guy, I can't remember what his name is, but that's what pissed me off so much about this narrative he's trying to craft about how like NFTs are useless and nobody uses them and like all this bullshit. And you're like, dog, I understand. Like you don't get enough transaction volume from you trying to sell NFTs. Like that's cool, but like people still use them. I still have them in my wallet. Like they still represent something. Like you know what I mean? Like just because you want to like craft this new narrative to like help your business doesn't erase like the fact that people value NFTs.
Yeah. I mean, in my eyes, how do we bring more value to back the NFT itself? Which is why, I think there's been one PYDH NFT that has ever resold for $20. But
Hey.
and we do take 5% fees on the NFTs. We are considered the creator of the NFT.
Is that and that was organic? Like I assume you had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, I promote, like somebody collected something and I was like, hey, he created a bounty and he did it. I promoted it. I was like, he's trying to sell it. I think this is cool.
Yeah. I mean, as long as it wasn't like a backroom deal, totally organic. Yeah.
Yeah. And like it was processed on OpenSea. And I just think that was something that was interesting to me, that you could have like some sort of potential value capture. It's not the main driver, right? You're mainly just trying to get something done in real life, but you do collect something that could be valuable. It's a lottery ticket, right? So there is a somewhat speculative aspect to POIDH. But I think that's interesting of like if you and your community pull together to get something big done. Or the example I like to use, are you a sports fan at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So like,
mostly football, but
okay. Yeah. Football, right? You could, fans of a team could pool money and say, hey, quarterback, I'm a Cowboys fan. So Dak Prescott. Dak, I want you to throw 6 touchdowns in a game. And everybody could pool money into the Dak 6 touchdown fund, right? And Dak gets 6 touchdowns and he uploads a photo of like him on the field with a thumbs up, right? And it's like the bounty creator, the guy who organized that and like confirmed it, like that's a cool collectible. That is a collectible that's one of one, confirmed.
Bro, you need to like integrate this with like fucking DraftKings, because the amount of like this is like the whiff situation where everyone like tried to pool money together to get on the ball. Like this is literally what everyone's gonna like get their sports fantasy team together. They're gonna find other people with the same team and they're gonna be like, yo, every game we need to incentivize like one of our players to like go off.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun when you think about like what gets unlocked when people can pool money to get stuff done in the same seamless manner that people chat online with each other now on Twitter, right? Like Twitter and like it unlocked this whole new.
You just created like DeFi bribing for sports gambling.
A little bit, yes. I mean, the profit. Well, what do we say?
It's like
nothing illegal. Nothing illegal.
No, it's totally legal because it's a real market. Like they're actually like they already have their fantasy league. They bought in a certain amount, and then outside of that, they're like, hey, like, yo, I will pay you publicly, for everyone to see if you actually get this many touchdowns. And it's not like you're saying, take a fall. Like maybe if you're like, hey, like you need to not get 6 touchdowns, like. Probably they're not going to do it. Like they don't really have an incentive to, because they'll lose their position on the team or whatever. So, especially if it's public,
only good things, right? Because you're not going to, again, like going back to the Hitman example.
Yeah,
anybody's going to be fine claiming a bounty for a big accomplishment. Who's going to want to claim a bounty publicly for like you failed?
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, I mean. This is why people even advocate though for like public bribing of politicians. So like at least we know what politicians are being bribed for, because it's not like it's going to stop. So.
I thought, and that would be an interesting use case, right? Because I thought, like, what's something people could fundraise for U.S. government to change? Say that you wanted to, somebody creates a POIDH, which is so absurd, right? Pixar didn't happen. Legalize marijuana at the federal level. Okay. Which is like, I wonder what picture would be uploaded to prove that, right? Again, the picture is just the invoice, right? There's still many other things that need to be happen. But say this happens, right? And people pool $1 million, there's $1 million bounty, marijuana gets federally legalized. Now, who gets to claim the bounty, right? And
the president, Trump.
The president, Trump tries to put in a claim, but then like the Democrats, actually it was us that did it. And then some random dude is like, well, I had a viral YouTube video, I deserve the credit. And now there's this governance process that happens on POIDH where we get to see who, with the people that had money on the line, they get to decide who did this, right? Mm-hmm. And it's recorded forever. And I think because provenance is messy, right? We like to act like provenance is this seamless thing, but it's not. The market decides provenance.
Right.
Like, what's that? The Doge NFT that they've tried to push out there. Like, this is the real Doge. It has IP. The lawyers say it's ours. The market
is crazy. Yeah.
They don't care. That's
nobody gives a fuck.
Market decides provenance. And I think it would be really fun to see how that plays out on POIDH with a lot of money at stake. And it's a lot of power in the bounty creators' hands because they have to pick the claim that everybody wants. And which is why I view it's important that I build this out as a more social platform where there's comment sections and people can DM each other and strategize on these things. But yeah, at the end of the day, they will still have to pass a voting period where the majority of contributors say whether or not they agree with that pick. And it might take a while. But yeah, there's all sorts of interesting ways it could play out. And then they'd have an NFT that is hopefully worth something because it was $1 million payout. And they own the one of one NFT proving that marijuana is federally legalized.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be good. We're moving forward. It seems progress is being made.
Yeah, it's just we put some bounties on the internet, yada yada yada. Marijuana is going to be federally legalized. It's not many steps I'm taking there in assumptions, right?
It's inevitable. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Probably going to happen. So, but yeah, it's fun to consider, and I think no matter what we are moving to, I feel 1,000% confident that we are moving to this world where things will be incentivized more seamlessly with crypto. Whether or not it happens on POIDH, I don't know, right? But
I mean, it's definitely happening already, no matter what. Like, it's happening in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yeah, there's, even streamers, right? Like Twitch streamers, there's this whole tipping culture and people like telling, say, hey, I'll pay you to do this thing. I'll pay you to do this thing, right? And people make a lot of money doing that on Twitch. We just need to keep exploring this problem space because I think crypto will be able to prove that it is better than old money for this sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why Bitcoin is like such an easy sell, especially to boomers, because you're just like, hey, this is so much obviously better than, like traditional assets like gold, etc. And it's just like almost instantly obvious. Like maybe 5 years ago is a little bit harder to explain, but like nowadays it's so easy to explain to somebody over 60, why they should be invested in Bitcoin. And like it almost clicks immediately. And of course, that's why Bitcoin's price is skyrocketing. It's why every bank in the US has been accumulating Bitcoin for the last 2-3 years. It's insane. And we really won't see the same level of accumulation with ETH because ETH has competition where Bitcoin doesn't. So it's very easy for people to just like, buy a shitload of Bitcoin. Of course, it's very likely that enough funds overinvest in Bitcoin now at the highs that they unwind, in a year or two, depending on how markets go. But hey, there's still big buyers right now at the very least.
Yeah. Especially the attractiveness of Bitcoin is nice, especially as the dev team for the US dollar crashes out and we got Trump just flailing around the White House, right? Being like yelling at the Federal Reserve Bank, right? We're seeing it in real time of the concerns that you have around the power, all that power concentrated in the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is an amazing idea if it's run by logical people and they aren't they aren't susceptible to corruption, but that's not the real world. The real world is a dark forest and things get corrupted. And so, yeah, Bitcoin, I've always loved that number one use case of, hey, could this be the next, global reserve currency? Which I think with, ETH had the narrative around they wanted to do ultrasound money too, but there is conflict within the ETH community in that I think, I've had disagreements with people I talk to on Farcaster.
Mhm.
I'm like, is the US dollar going away in 20 years? They're like, no, God, no. Like, still going to be using it. Like the US dollar isn't going anywhere.
Right.
And which properly really illustrates that difference. But like, you're never going to hear that from a Bitcoiner. A Bitcoiner is never going to say, yeah, US dollar is going to be around. It's like, no, we are here to replace it. That is our job. That's what we're doing. And whereas Ethereum, they're okay with, USDC is taking a lot of ETH's job as money on the network itself.
ETH is no longer money. Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody's just pitching. I saw that. What was it the other day? There was some app where it's like, we got rid of all that lame crypto stuff. Like you just see USDC on our app now.
Oh, I saw that actually. And I was like, what the fuck? Like,
bro, what? I think
that's stupid. And
like, I love USDC as my gambling chip, but I don't love that asset.
Yeah, same. I saw something like that on Farcaster too. Somebody was like, yo, like Zora would be perfect if everything was priced in USDC. And I was like, what? I was like, that's the gripe, like out of everything. Like I was like, how is that even like an option, man? Like everyone's so USD minded, but this is why I like to say ETH is genuinely mid. Like this is why ETH is so fucking mid, because we want to try and like account for everyone. Like ETH is a genuinely diverse community of people. Like it's a diverse in terms of geography, diverse in terms of like the way people think, etc. So like it just caters to way more people. So like it actually does end up in the middle of the bell curve. It caters to so many more people. It's like a more mainstream product. And that's why I think like most people will say that on the right side of the bell curve would be Solana, and on the left side of the bell curve would be or the opposite, like on the right side of the bell curve would be Bitcoin, on the right side would be Solana. But I think it's actually flipped because like Bitcoin is just so goddamn simple that like it makes sense to everyone and can just be that, yep, buy Bitcoin. Like, and you say the same thing to everyone and it works, right? Everyone buys Bitcoin and we all buy it together. We're all happy together, perfect. And then on the right side, like you have like Solana ecosystem that's like, yo, like we can be Ethereum, like we can reach mainstream adoption, but like we can do it without having like all the identity politics, without all the bullshit. Let's give people without all the like cryptographic ideals, like all the things that like the people who built the industry care about, so like it seems like the smart like high level play it's also like one of the highest risk, right, to be like, we're gonna beat Ethereum out their own game by like just by being better tech, or by being faster tech, I should say. So it's
cooler XRP.
Exactly. It's like XRP but people actually use it, like people actually use it to gamble, or at least for something, that's the big problem with Solana, is that it's genuinely driven, like the culture is driven by grifters, like not even speculators or traders, like literally by people who are grifting, especially like the Solana NFT market. Like there almost none of the like original NFTs that were incepted like during that time like still exist today. Like there's very few and they're few and far between, because most of the people who made these like were actual grifters, scammers, or just people that didn't care about community, etc. Like people looking to cash out. Like the intentions were so very clear and are like clear to this day, but it's also why like things like Pump Fund work super well. And like there's something to be said about a chain getting real activity, even if it is like activity that none of us really like see any real value in. But that's why I do see it on like the higher side of the bell curve. But like a case can be made for either, because obviously like you're targeting the dumbest possible user on Solana. Like you need the person who's coming to Solana to be dumb enough to lose their money, or else like the people building on Solana don't have a use case to keep building on Solana, you know? So like it, in that way, it's so zero sum and so extractive that like, this is why the ecosystem hasn't been able to like really like garner organic, like community and intellectual curiosity past like a very surface level, and that's why it's like so refreshing to like sit in a room with like people who understand like where Ethereum is headed and like the challenges that it faces and like the technical infrastructure at that level, and care more just about like than onboarding another user with slightly cheaper transactions and faster transactions. And this actually brings us into another really interesting conversation, which is around like Mega ETH versus Base. And of course, like this is a Homebase workshop, and I'll say that Base has a very clear advantage with Coinbase being literally one of the fucking biggest companies in the world now. It might as well be a country. It's so big. So of course, like there's that advantage over Mega ETH. But I mean, I'm not sure if you're very familiar with Mega ETH, but do you even see an advantage of something like Mega ETH now? Because one of their main like pitching points was that they have a centralized sequencer, which allows TBS to be super high. So like Mega ETH throughput is super high. Their Mega ETH is incredibly fast. Finality and execution is extremely fast. But since Base is also just another centralized sequencer, and people don't really care about like a centralized L2, because like that's the trade-off you're making. Like you'll use Ethereum if you really want security, but if you want slightly cheaper transactions, but you still at least want some level of Ethereum level security, then you'll use an Ethereum L2 outside of something like Solana. So like, do you see something like Mega ETH actually being able to compete with something like Base over time?
No, mainly because I've been in this industry a long time. I'm a power user of this industry. I love using in this industry. Like I try everything. Okay. And I've yet to see like the best pitch I've seen come across my feed for something to do on Mega ETH was a frog or a rabbit version of Frogger. I was like, okay, this is the most elite tech we have for transaction speed, and you're telling me the use case that it enabled was a rabbit version of Frogger. Like that is the most entertaining thing you can give me. Okay, I don't care about that. I'm not going to bridge for that. I don't like what's the point there, right? And I'm just all about, can you give me interesting use cases? And we have a plethora of evidence in this industry that the blockchains have gotten faster and faster and faster and faster. The use cases have not gone with that. There's no correlation at all in this industry of faster blockchain equals better use case. Just not true, right? Solana is faster, but what is the main use case on Solana? It's just pump fun. It was pump fun. That isn't something that's uniquely enabled. Pump fun worked because Ethereum shot itself in the foot by fracturing liquidity across different L2s, right? Because Ethereum was optimistic and idealistic, and they
putting ideals on a pedestal.
Like, we're gonna have so many great new use cases, and we'll have these different L2s for it. And it was like the market was like, nah, we still just want to gamble on stuff, and you just split the liquidity 5 different ways. So we will go to the next biggest platform where you can easily gamble, and that was Solana.
And you know what I will say? Like, obviously, people hate on the EF too much, but what I will say is like, this is so clear that like the EF should have been pushing, maybe even built like what you're working on. Like, I understand the sentiment that we want to give people like yourself and myself opportunities to go build some of these mechanisms and champion them, etc. But like, I mean, this is something that should have been done, right? Like the fact that Gitcoin didn't iterate over the past 5 years at all, you know what I mean? And it, like, is barely a better product. Like they're just starting to reiterate now, you know, after all of this time. Like people around the world should already be using this product, like permissionlessly, etc. Like the Japanese government should already be funding public goods using on-chain mechanisms on Ethereum. Like these are things that should have been done, should have been led by the EF, and you know what I mean, should already exist. Like the fact that we're here almost like 10 years later with no real use, like in real life use cases, is just a joke, man. Like it doesn't even make sense. It just goes to show like how lazy and how complacent like the people leading the space really got. And of course, like there's still amazing a ton of amazing value that they've created, but have gotten so far from like getting this into the hands of people that like it's just like, what's even the point, right? Like what's the point of building more infrastructure that people aren't going to use? Like why did we have to go through this era of everyone starting their own L1 and then their own L2 so they can raise as much money as possible to outcompete, you know, Ethereum, instead of people just building fucking consumer experiences? It's truly ridiculous. And of course most of the infrastructure wasn't there, but why did we spend so much time and so much money like raising for new infrastructure instead of just building this infra like collectively, right? Like, and I'm all for competition, but like it's a decentralized ecosystem. Like we need to understand like where the value currently lies and how we can scale that value together as fast as possible.
Yeah, I will say there was a reason for it's good that infrastructure has been built. I am not a dev. I am not like we've worked with freelancers to build POIDH, right? And a lot of what we rely on is, we rely on Alchemy. We rely on Rainbow Kit. These are things that weren't easy to do in 2017, 2018. I think a lot of people did try this sort of stuff. I've heard this from people when they see POIDH. They're like, these are the things we were talking about back in 2017, 2018. But they didn't take off, right? And so there is some truth to this. Like we needed better apps. We needed better infrastructure to make it possible. And if I had built this on Ethereum back then, if I had built it on Ethereum mainnet right back then, it would have been, the gas fees would be very high. Even when I first launched on Arbitrum, it was $4 to submit a claim when gas got bad, right? So before the blobs changed up. But yeah, why did we go for infrastructure? It was such an odd, I think that analogy comes back to like people thinking about the internet, and like it was the obvious thing you could improve, and so we all just dove down it. It was like, hey, that's why we don't have use cases. Also
it's like the highest leverage,
it's harder to admit that you're not creative enough to come up with a good use case too, right? It's like, I have great ideas. The problem is the chain just wasn't fast enough. My ideas were really fucking good. Like,
like I was right.
I was right. The chain just wasn't fast, and so let's build faster chains. But the reckoning is coming because we have all these fast chains.
Well, it's funny because it's almost like the vice versa that was more often true, where people were like, yo, we have all this great tech, but we have no users because like we didn't spend any money on marketing, we don't focus on community, and we don't give a fuck about those things. Like we're just gonna build it and they will come. But one, there are no users in crypto, so nobody's gonna come. And two, like you have to do the hard work of onboarding people into crypto for you to get users. And I think like that's what most people miss. And like the Celsius is like the best scams of crypto did exactly that. Like even Ripple, right? Like that's literally like the bread and butter of like the big grifts, like the big communities, etc. Like they just bring even Coinbase, like they just bring normies on, people invest through Coinbase, and now Coinbase is like, hey, like we have this L2 if you want to like put if you want to own your own keys and all this other shit. So it's like you have to create the top of funnel for people to come to crypto, or else like you won't ever have users. And I think that's more true for something like even what you built, because I've used things like Poid in the past, like built on ETH mainnet, built on like Solana, etc. Like there are other mechanisms very similar, but most of them didn't work just because like people didn't do any form of distribution, didn't do any form of marketing. Like they just expected people just to start using this thing, even though like you literally have to change people's behavior first to even start using this thing. Of course, like over the past 4 or 5 years, a lot of that behavioral change has sort of happen naturally. But like, you know what I mean? You're literally on Farcaster, like, hey, like you should use it for this. Oh, I see that you want to do this thing. Like you can use Poid for this, and then like, help the person use it. Like that's the sort of like BD, customer service, etc. Like that community outreach that and engagement that you have to do to make these sorts of products successful. It's Spotify started in what 2014, and it didn't take off until like 2020. So it takes a long time to build these sorts of like mainstream products that will get adoption. It's a grind to get that user base, to get that network effect.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I mean, and I mentioned earlier, what is daily active users on PYDH? It's almost nothing, but we still have. I've been able to grind up to I think it's 2,100 unique wallets have used it at this point. A lot of money has gone through, and I have to keep things in perspective that like I am not a dev, right? I'm competing against apps that like they have funding, they have devs, and people know the founders, and they have a reputation. I'm just a nobody here. But the one thing that I do have in my back pocket is it's almost better that this is my side project and I can work on it slowly and carefully.
Yes.
And I don't have investors. There's nobody there. I never wake up with an email from somebody being like, why are users down?
Yeah.
Like, that's great. There's this sense of perspective, so I can just build it the way I want to. And I am a marketer first and foremost. So I appreciate that when you bring that up of like that I'm able to do BD and talk to people and just market it that way. And I feel like that is my strong suit, right? That I can tell the story of the product fairly well, right? And if I just keep doing it, just keep going after it, this problem space of incentivizing with crypto is big, and we have a chance to make our mark in it.
You doing that for the next 5 to 10 years is like far more guaranteed success than somebody spending $100 million right now trying to reach everyone in crypto to use Poid right now.
Yeah.
Like guaranteed, like hands down. If you keep doing what you're doing right now for a long enough time period, like it just is going to work. And same thing with commit, right? Like, and have you seen this commit by Rev? Because, like this is another product, even more than Poid. Like people have tried a million, if not like 1,000 times in crypto. And like every time it just doesn't get enough usage like to make it worth the person's time who's building it. And it's not to say people didn't use it, people don't value it. It's just to say that there wasn't enough users for like the person who like to make it their full time, and that's what was like the goal, But like if this is your side project, like commit, if Rev does commit for a long enough period of time the same way you keep doing Poid, like it will take off, just because like there just needs to be somebody championing it for long enough that people can trust it. In the same way, like we all championed Zora long enough that enough artists actually got on board of that, like it created like a real network effect. But of course, that's all fucking dead and gone now, or been transitioned into something else. But like that's just how it goes. Like eventually enough people will use it, evangelize it, and it will all happen organically. But it just takes so much time to get there without like a team and a ton of money. But it's so worth it because it's so much more valuable you building it from your perspective for the right reasons, because then you're actually going to build a product people actually want to use rather than what you think people want to use. And once enough time will have passed that you actually get enough users that make it sustainable, But if it's like you're trying to boot, I mean, that's the biggest problem with these like Web2 type founders that come to crypto, right? They try and instantly bootstrap a business that like seems super obvious to like put on crypto rails, and then they're like, wait, why is nobody using it? And you're just like, dog, like who the fuck are you building for? You know what I mean? Like just give it some time, right? Like I understand like what you're building is super fucking valuable, but like it's not something that's gonna be bootstrapped in a day. You know what I mean? Like even if you're able to build the final product in a week, right? Like you're not going to be able to get that final product in front of everyone, like with one tweet, right? Like you should not expect this. Jesse's going to come and convince everyone to come coin on your platform. Like it's asinine to rely on the loudest voices to show your product. Like you got to do the hard work.
Yeah, and the signals do get mixed too because of the airdrop culture, though, and that is one thing that, again, I will take it as like, yeah, it's not great that we don't have a ton of people using it, but everybody who does use it, like, they're not using it because they think they're going to get the point airdrop, or they're like,
Exactly.
oh,
Yeah.
Kenny has VC funding, so XYZ,
Yeah.
all the trades here. It's like, no, I got no
Right.
problem.
People aren't farming. Like, they're actually using it because they fucking want to,
It's like you use some, you wanted to earn some money, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Or you wanted something to get done, so you did it. And I think it must be tough, if I put myself in the shoes of somebody that has a large reputation in the industry, and you launch something and you are going to get interaction and feedback on your product that is not, you don't know if it's real or not, because you don't know how much of this is tied to people farming the protocol, how much people are telling you one thing because they want to steer your decision making towards a certain type of airdrop or a certain way of earning money through your protocol. Yeah, it's messier in this industry because of the money that gets involved.
That's what I hate the most, is like knowing that like the airdrops are gamed so hard by insiders that it's like, it's not even worth participating unless you know how to game it. And like, the insider is telling you how to game it, so you create enough activity and liquidity that their investors will be happy, so that they can actually airdrop, and you can all sell out instantly before the rest of the community gets their airdrop. It's just such a ridiculously like manipulated system, and to pretend it's like this, like, I don't know, like, accurate way to
Value
hold,
community.
yeah, to divvy up ownership or activity or revenue or whatever is just, it's so fucking crazy. Like, unless you're incredibly transparent around who got what and why, and you know what I mean. And some airdrops are really incredible in that way, and are super thoughtful. They're even our retrospectives, like the Arbitrum airdrop is a really good example of something that was just extremely thoughtful. It took a lot of time to understand the criteria, and to like, I mean, obviously everyone and their grandmother was farming Arbitrum at the time, because like it was one of the first farms, and it was also one of the first like L2s. Like, there was actually like a very obvious real value of Arbitrum that like nobody else was really doing or building. Like, Arbitrum was fucking revolutionary.
Yeah.
And it was a really important time. So things like that are like, they need to be put on a pedestal. And when people are thinking about doing airdrops, like, they really need to be like paying attention to some of the ones that have got it right. But it's, Arbitrum's governance obviously hasn't gone very well as well. So there are plenty of lessons to be learned on both the pros and the cons of some of the historical data. But as we keep experimenting more, we'll only keep learning more and getting better. So
my fundamental rule is that if there's an expectation of an airdrop, it's not going to be a great airdrop, right? Like, the greatest airdrops are completely, I did not expect to get my Uniswap airdrop.
Exactly.
I got it, and it was amazing. My Degen airdrop, right? I did know there was going to be an airdrop, but there was absolutely zero expectation of value. That coin sat at like 300K market cap for a while after dropping, and like nothing was happening with it. Like, it was worthless, right? And then goes like 1,000x from there. It's insane, right? But that was because there was no expectation. I've talked to Jessic about that too. Like, I've told them like, hey, maybe we need to find other ways to distribute these coins, because the problem is you can't keep going back to this. Once there's an expectation of large value, it will be farmed, and the farmers are smarter. They are. Like, the farmers find it's like water finding its way down a hill. Right? Like, it's a fact of life. Like, as much as you want to design a system that's going to stop them, they're going to get there. They're going to find their way through. Give them enough time, give them enough value. So if it's a valuable thing, you can't do an airdrop. You have to find products that there is no expectation of value, and that is where you can hope you're going to actually have an airdrop. Because if the market expects it's going to be valuable, you're shit out of luck, I guess. But Hype's a slightly different scenario, because they had a really good one. But I will say that everybody was so burnt out by the idea of like, oh, another decentralized perp stack.
Yeah.
Rock this one. You know, there was like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it because I was like, I've seen a million of these. Why is this special? Right.
You know what's funny? The only reason I use it is because one of the like centralized ones that I was using like completely like shut down, I think for regulatory reasons. So I tried to hype out of necessity. And I mean, I didn't really get much of an airdrop, to be honest, because I didn't use it that much. I was not like trading super heavy or anything.
Yeah.
But just paying attention and like watching it, it was pretty surprising. But this is also why things like Blast existed, because people were like, wait, so farmers are going to farm no matter what? Why don't we just create, you know, products for farmers, and then they'll just give us their money for free, basically? And that's exactly what Blast did. They convinced a bunch of people to give them money. I mean, that's like, how stupid do you have to be to give Blast your money, right? Like when CL tweeted yesterday that
It's locked until 2030.
bro, I was like, wait, no way E-Girl is that dumb. And then the reply tweet was like, oh, it was mostly just vibe investing, and like we knew enough people at Paradigm that we had to invest. And I was like, y'all got by Paradigm? Like, are you serious? Like Paradigm literally fucking
They
like,
saw art gobblers. They're like, we need the next art gobbler.
yeah, bro. Like, are you serious, bro? And the funny thing is, art gobblers would have actually like would have been such a cool experiment if it wasn't so like hyper financialized. And like, you know what I mean, they tried to like take Treasure DAO like to like the nth extent, and like, you know, like Treasure DAO didn't even work, and it wasn't even nearly as speculative and like gamified. And you know, so like for you to like, I mean, Art Gobblers was just, the art was funny, you know, it's a cool project. You're related to fucking Justin Roiland, especially during a controversial time. Like, you have all this attention to garner. You really can do something cool, do something fun, or at least like make it about the art, you know, like something, you know what I mean? Like do something valuable. And instead it's just like, you know, Paradigm just will do anything they can to juice farmers. It's ridiculous. Like, it's like you have a bunch of people just sitting in a room like, yo, like, how do we fuck people over the hardest, you know?
People keep burning the money. It's the airdrop industrial complex. Participate in as
Progress.
Too. Yeah, progress. I don't like railing against hyper financialization. Like, I think it's inherently evil. It just happens. I guess my take is like,
It's like banking.
I'm like, why do I just, please don't hyper financialize stuff and then try to sell it to me like it's revolutionary. That's it. Like, I don't care.
Well said.
Financialize all the things. It's not bad. Like,
it's not new. It's not bad. It's not good. Like,
it is. Like, don't try to sell me that this is revolutionary. That Blast somehow cracked the code of building community because they're doing fat airdrops.
yeah, because they're over incentivizing something that is never gonna come. Like, it's fucking insane. Like, they're subsidizing, and of course that's what most like VC funded chains did, is like subsidize the airdrops with, you know, with investors' capital, and none actually reached a level of activity where they could return on investment. So and then the investor just have to sell their allocations at TGE to recoup any level of, you know, their investment. But I just don't understand why we needed to play this like vaporware game where we needed to pass hot potato between every fucking VC firm in the space of something that shouldn't exist, instead of just building for the future. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, people just decided there didn't need to be any long-term thesis. You know, they needed to make money right now, and if they don't make money right now, like, the world's gonna fucking end. Like,
it's because people bought it, right? People bought it. We speculated on it, right? As a community, we did buy these coins, and we did try to flip them to each other, and we played the game. But yeah,
and they knew we would.
It does feel like it's coming to, that era is coming to a close. There'll always be speculation in crypto, but so many people are just getting burnt because there's no easy money anymore. It's even reached the point where the VCs are getting burnt. The VCs did this because they could always guarantee they'd probably get some access on
it's like IPO. Yeah, it's like IPOing.
Right. And it's just, nobody's buying it anymore. So that is coming to a close, and it's too cutthroat. And I don't. Yeah, I when we look back on this, I will view this as a small. Yes, it's been 10 years. We don't have great use cases, but it's a small window at the very beginning of this tech being created. And even, I mean, you go to 2017. 2017 was the first time we were really able to do programmable stuff with these things, right? Before then, it was just Bitcoin and
Right.
random proof of work altcoins. So it seems like because we're in the thick of it and every day in crypto feels like a month, we think it's all lost. And it's really just in the grand scheme of things, it was a tiny blip. It's a hyper speculative blip. And we will move to real use cases eventually because it only makes sense. It's future money. It's better. It's better in every goddamn way possible. Like, it's impossible that we're not going to find some way to use this in a new creative manner. And so that is what I will focus on while still enjoy. Like, I do enjoy the hyper financialized side of things. I like gambling, is what it is. But
Yeah.
I do not try to sell gambling is going to change the world.
Well, that's the thing is like I don't as much as I enjoy like playing a game of poker or blackjack, I don't even love gambling per se. I do love winning. And
Mm.
I think like it's like there's a big difference. I don't even love going to the casino. Like I like playing poker games where instead like for example, Showdown, like some of the people at Mega Zoo created this game where you play action cards instead of betting. Like it's poker, but you put down these action cards and it changes the dynamic of the board, changes what's in your hand. Like I enjoy things like that. Like even like Balatro, like, you know, things where you don't necessarily have to bet money, like to actually play the game and win, like is extremely fun in my opinion. But like when it comes to like money being on the table, like I don't enjoy like that process. I enjoy winning the money. You know what I mean? Like being right and then like actually, you know, being rewarded for being right. Like I enjoy that more than anything. And there's not much of that in crypto, right? Like there isn't like oh, like I can just put my money here and like I can just go to the right place. In fact, like you can't do that because that's what most investors are looking to do. Like they want to like invest on a longer term horizon, and that's how most people get fucked in crypto. Is like, you know, a lot of people buy the top of Ethereum or Bitcoin because like, you know, hey, what's a no problem buying 100K Bitcoin because it's going to be 200K next year, you know, or whatever. And of course, it's just not that simple. So like buying tops isn't something that you can really do in crypto, where in traditional markets it's very common for you just like to come in, buy a top, keep riding it, keeps going up. You know, eventually you'll get a huge bear market. You just got to make sure you have enough dry powder. You can buy a bottom and then you ride it back up, right? Like in crypto, like timing actually does fucking matter. Like it's really, really important. But I'm also like hating on the space for like not moving fast enough. And of course, like this is a space that is moving faster than any space ever. So like in that way, like my argument is sort of unfounded, you know, because like I'm maybe being a little too greedy here, you know, because now that we have everything we have everything instantly at the touch of a button, you know, we expect things to just get done. And things that like me and you in the ecosystem, like things that we know like need to be done and should be done. Of course, like we just expect it to already be done. But like, you know, somebody has to do it. And I guess we are those fucking people that have to do it.
Yeah. I built this. I did another interview last week where I was talking to somebody and there was two different reasons why I built POIDH. And one is the high level. I like thinking about governance and human organization. And there's an interesting problem space.
In theory and
$2 or the second one was low level. I've been in the industry for a long time and there's absolutely nothing I enjoyed doing. So I built an app that I would
yeah,
it was like
exactly.
I can put out a $5 bounty for somebody to pick up litter, and then I check in a week later and somebody did it, and that's fun to me, right? And so yeah, I just had to. And even when I joined Farcaster, I just tried to be an idea guy, and I put it out there, and I was like, people are gonna eat this up. They're gonna love this idea. Somebody's gonna build it. I'll be able to find a co-founder. Nobody gave a fuck. Like people said that's a cool idea, Keddy, and nothing. And
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I have to build it. I have to be the person that puts in the time and the effort to do this. So And I do feel vindicated in that it gives me my ability to critique more, because like a lot of people like getting on Twitter complaining, but they're not building anything. And at the very least, like if somebody comes to me and they're like, "You ate on speculative crypto, like what are you doing?" It's like, well, I crowdfunded somebody to take pictures of blackberries yesterday, and you might think that's stupid, but I enjoyed that. I paid somebody with crypto, and they gave me a picture. Or, one that always stuck out was like I met somebody from India, and I was like, "Oh, we've never had a PRDH bounty done in India. Can you like give me a picture of a cool landmark?" And they did. Like I googled the city he was in. There was these sweet ancient pyramids. They're not called pyramids, but it was really cool structures. And I was like, "Hey, can you go get me a picture of these with a PRDH sign tomorrow?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And I woke up the next day and I had a picture of them in real life. I was like, this is something tangible that I'm using crypto for. And I don't care if it seems small to you all. Like I can throw this out as I built something that wouldn't be possible. I couldn't have possibly done this without it before.
Right. And like people can actually like you can have real attestations, and like you can create real relationships like use over this mechanism. And I do know of things like that are similar that have worked in the past, like in Web 2. I can't remember what the name of the app was, but I know this one organization did something very similar where like they were like, "Hey, like if you pick up like trash in your community, like we'll pay you like $1 per picture," like something like that.
See it, click it, fix it is also something. I don't know if you've ever seen that before.
Yeah. I mean, like it's this is something that people actually do want to do and will do, and like it already has been proven to work like in traditional systems, and it's only going to work better, like with this new tech. You know what I mean? Like it's only going to work better in this environment. It's only going to be more effective, more efficient, and like people are going to be able to build a better relationship with each other using it, etc. So like it's something that genuinely does have a use case, and whether like somebody thinks it's stupid or not doesn't mean that somebody else won't use it, like it, of course, like I think fucking pump fun is the dumbest goddamn thing on the planet, but it still exists and people use it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do like that. Seem like, hey, you can launch a token. It is kind of surprising it took that long to just be like, all right, anybody can come launch any token they wanted. And I wonder if that's the end game for us or not. Like we just reached the limit of you cannot make token creation more seamless than that, right? Because what in the Bitcoin talk days, those early days, I don't know. Like I remember I bought some altcoins in 2014, but it was so funny to think about back then.
Color coins, yeah, on Bitcoin.
I mean that colored. I never bought colored coins, but like the amount of care that people put in to be like, oh, like what's the proof of work mining algorithm? Can we home mine? Is it pre-mined? Right. All this thoughtful carelessness, or not careless, carefulness around these things and evaluations. And then we have gone to the complete opposite end where it's just like, is the picture funny?
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Does it have a good ticker though? Like,
yeah, is the penguin cute?
Is this ticker viable? It's so far from those days of like, is this going to be able to be farmed by ASICs or not? Right.
Like, will countries be able to use this?
Yeah. And so I think we've probably tapped out. Like you said, you said you like games where you just win. Right, like where you don't have to risk stuff, and most people are risk averse.
Yeah,
that's humans. Again, human psychology, risk aversion is deeply in there because like we evolved from people that had to. I don't know how it amazes me when you look back at human history. Like, how do we get here? Holy shit! Like dodge saber-toothed tigers and things like that. That's insane. Like everything about our brain was programmed to be worried about the things that go bump in the night. And gambling, like I think we have reached the cohort of people that are down with hyper gambling.
Right. Yeah, we've reached that level of adoption, and like that's why I do respect Alan or Alon, however you say his name, the creator of Pump Fun. Like that's why I do really like respect his build, because he was like, yo, I know what people want, I'm gonna build exactly what they want, and he did. Of course, like, it has like Black Mirror level implications when you take things to a certain level, but I still respect the fact that like you build something that people want to use. I think it's important, but
I love it
it only
too.
does so much. It only creates, like, there's such a clear ceiling to the value that it creates for people, to society.
The big reason for me, so a lot of people, when I bring up building PYDH before, they would be like, well, there's always already tools that exist. Like theoretically, like I'm a fan of Juicebox protocol.
Yeah, Juicebox is a good call.
We did a test run of PYDH before I even built it. I did a test version of it where I was, we tried to, it was with Kraus House DAO. This is some deep lore.
Yeah, holy shit, Kraus House
DAO. And I got all these guys to pool together money that we would pay out the next NBA player that had a 50-point game.
Damn.
And the idea was, and we did it on Juicebox, and we raised, I don't know, I think it was like $1,000 in ETH.
Holy shit.
With the idea being that this was the Juicebox campaign. It was POIDH coded, right? And it was that anybody who was a contributor, the person who did it, the NBA player that did it, to get the funds, they needed to mint an NFT, a commemorative NFT. And that's what they would give to us, and we would unlock the Juicebox funds for them. So it's literally POIDH, but extra steps, right? It was done via Juicebox.
Right.
And we got all the way to the point where we talked to Damian Lillard's manager, and then like he backed out. Right.
Damn, bro. Well, it wasn't enough money. Like, it was $1,000.
Yeah, it was $1,000, and I mean, it's peak. It was like the depths of the bear market, and he's like, NFT, I don't want to touch that shit. Like all the NBA players, like Top Shot got wrecked. Right? There's absolutely no good vibes around that. He just thinks he's getting scammed.
Yeah. I mean, don't worry. I mean, if Scottie Pippen was around, I'm sure he would have.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen might have done it, but I mean, he would have to go back and score 50 points. But that was my first, like, would this work, and would people listen to it? Would people pool money? And that was a proof of concept for it. But, when people would talk to me, be like, well, there's tools for this, Kenny, already in crypto. You can pool money in like a Gnosis safe, right? Or things like that. And my point of view has always been that, yeah, but the UX isn't slick and easy enough, right? And it's kind of like there was always options to blog on the internet, right? Like you could set up a blog press account, you could set up WordPress back in 2002, 2003, 2004, but it wasn't until social media made it really simple of click a button, there's a text box, type it in, post. That was it. It's very quick. And like then everybody started publishing on the internet, right? And my point with POIDH was it has to be seamless. It has to be a form where it's like the name, the description, the money, boom, publish. You're good. Very quick. And when Pump Fund came out and Pump Fund has taken off, I feel like that's a vindication of that belief of like, there were always tools to launch coins, but there was nothing as seamless and quick. And they made it's the same thing as POIDH, same type of form. It's image, name, description, go. Right. So I appreciate them proving that point that like, even if you can already launch a token, doing it in the slickest way possible was important.
Yeah, and same reason like Clanker took off. And like I said earlier, like on this live stream, you can. It's really tough for some of these like Clanker and Gatekeep and Flaunt and all these like sorts of token launchers to really find their niche and to like differentiate against each other. But like it is really valuable to like give people the ability, and that's why it took off and so many tokens were launched. But like there's such a clear ceiling, in my opinion, to what these things can be used for, and that's why like founders won't use them, and it makes more sense to just like create your own token for most people, or not for most people, but like for higher level initiatives. And like this is where I do agree with Zora actually to some extent, is there's new ways. We need to find new ways to tokenize that doesn't look like a meme coin. I mean, they're not much further off, I would say. And like we need to even do a better job of this, but like we need to be able to like tokenize and create markets and like create secondary markets, etc., do all of these things without it feeling like so financialized, so speculative. Like it just needs to be gamified in a slightly more like mainstream consumer way. And you know what I mean? It's going to take off, you know?
Yeah. And it is good that like the creator themselves, they don't have to speculate, right? They just get the fees. That is
exactly
the innovation of all of this, of that. Like you just see, I earn 5 cents, I earn 10 cents, right? You don't care too much about your coin going up or down in value. So,
dude, it's crazy. Like if we had these things in 2021, like the amount of scams would have gone down like 40-50%. Like the numbers would be staggering, because like most of the NFT communities, most of the coin communities, like all of these things would have recurring revenue. They'd have treasuries, you know, they'd be able to have like actually earn fees instead of like farmers taking everything and then dumping it immediately, you know? So like if we had slightly different structures like 4 years ago, like, I mean, it's crazy how many grifts we all would have been saved from.
yeah.
And more legitimate founders would be launching stuff.
Yeah. We had to go through it. You know, as a building phase of the industry. And I do love that part of crypto, that, you know, you don't take away the business cycle, because the business cycle is what makes the bad times, the bear markets, that's what makes the good times even better. That's what squeezes potential from people. So I love it. I love that part of it.
Lower the lows, the higher the highs, baby.
Yes. And overall, the baseline goes up.
Yep, exactly. And that's the positive sum that we're trying to create. You know, at the end of the day, you know, everyone is slightly better off than they were before. That's all we can ask for.
Right. Yeah. We'll get there. Everything. Yeah. The world is a better place because crypto is in it. I have absolutely no loss of faith in the industry right now. I guess I'm lucky because I've just been around it so much. It's like, again, I remember when Bitcoin was below $200. Why would I leave now?
Yeah. We're way past the point of no return. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's I mean, like you said, I actually really loved that you said this earlier too on the call about how like now is the time to be the most bullish on Ethereum than probably over the last like 6-7 years. You know, so like the fact that people are now more bearish than ever is a really good sign for, you know, or a really good signal for buying, I would say.
I think it's positioned well, especially if we do have a renaissance of legitimate use cases, that Ethereum is the best place to build.
It's obvious.
Yeah. Better developer tools, right?
It's I don't know any Solana developers that say Solana is a better environment for building yet.
People just say it's a headache. I mean, and for somebody like me, again, I have limited resources. I can't pay a Solana dev, but I can, because there are a plethora of Ethereum devs, then I can get by with my bootstrap project building on Ethereum. There's something to be said about that.
I just wish SoulScan was readable, to be honest. That would be that would be really nice.
I always say this. I don't understand how it's not readable, but I get this. This is what outs me as a non-dev, right? I look at SoulScan, I look at Basescan. I'm like, oh, it shows me the same thing, I think, right?
Yeah. It's mostly just UX bullshit.
Okay. Got it.
I mean, I actually can't even believe how long this ended up going. We can keep chatting, or we can end it here.
I should probably get Roy. I got kids. The wife. I told my wife, I was like, yeah, it'll probably be like an hour-long call or something. So I'm sure she's sitting outside the door, like, what's going on?
Yeah, she's like,
you're still talking about like as if she's not hear me talk about enough crypto stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's fun though. I'm really glad to have this space for these sorts of conversations. So we'll definitely keep running them, and would love to have you back on sometime. And if you ever want to showcase something new with Poet or anything like that, just let me know and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, we'll do, and would love if you ever want to run, you know, promos for this too. I'll probably I will put a bounty out. I should put a bounty out for somebody to find, like they have to find an obscure section in this call, an obscure story. So I'll think of something, I listen, I'll be like, you have to listen to the whole thing to find it, but clip it and like put the answer in point. So that should be fun. But yeah, if you ever want to brainstorm ways to promote the show and things like that, I'd love to.
I will say that I wanted to do a sort of integration with Bounty Caster where we would aggregate all of like the base specific bounties on homebase.love, and we could honestly do so with Poid specifically. And I mean, we could aggregate bounties from both, but we could actually make Poid the place where people go to create the bounty.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I mean, and again, it's nice because it's all on chain, right? So it's just about pulling it from. We do have an API now, so I could get you that information too.
I even could use it for just being like, hey, like who wants to edit these fucking live streams?
Yeah, you probably get. I mean, it is tough. Like at the end of the day, you have to build this community, build a website where people go to feel like they're going to reliably get paid, right? That is the hardest thing is you have to generate an organic economy. So if you can do that, that is, number one. If you're listening to this wants to know how they can help, make a bounty, make it a bounty.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I really wanted to add bounties to homebase.love is because we're drawing in so much attention and distribution from developers that we want to be able to give them not only a way to like tap into the ecosystem, but a way for platforms like yours to reach these people. So it's like, very clear symbiotic relationship here.
Oh, well, yeah, let's keep chatting on it and be in the Farcaster DMs. I'll be looking out. I'll send you a thank you note soon because, yeah, this was excellent. I can't,
thank you.
It's rare that I get to, chat crypto with people just because most of my friends in real life, right? It's all, normie friends in general.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah. I totally understand. Yeah. I mean, that's literally why we're still having this conversation is because everyone else is not.
Yeah. Yeah. And shout out the people that were in the chat. Thanks for great comments. And yeah, we should do this again soon.
Definitely. Thanks again for hopping on. Really appreciate you.
All right. See you, Luciano.
See ya. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We went a lot longer than expected, but that's just a part of the game. We will see you all tomorrow. We have a very special session, actually. It was planned a little late, so it wasn't on the Luma earlier, but it is now. So I suggest for anybody who is going to be around tomorrow, you should go sign up using this Luma link that I'm about to post in the chat. And make sure that you're here 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And we'll be doing a little Farcaster Builder panel. So we have a couple of very special guests. You guys will definitely enjoy it. And I can't wait to see you all tomorrow. All right. Have fun, everyone, and stay based.